I love Doctor Who. For those who don't know, Doctor Who is a show that was created by Sidney Newman and premiered on November 23rd, 1963, becoming one of the most popular shows in science fiction. The show revolves around a Time Lord called the Doctor, a time traveler who uses a time machine disguised as a 1930s police box called the TARDIS. It stands for Time and Relative Dimensions in Space. He travels the universe with many companions, both human and not human, and when the Doctor dies, he changes his face, giving the show eternal life. There are currently 15 incarnations of the Doctor, with Ncuti Gatwa currently in the role. I love this show. From Ron Grainer and Dalian Derbynshire's iconic theme to the many enemies like the Daleks that have become as recognizable as someone like Darth Vader to the iconic police box, is a show that constantly keeps me coming back. Something that is very, very hard for me to do unless it's a good show. Like, really, really, really good. Now, I want to focus on something in particular. Doctor Who Anniversary Specials. For those who don't watch the show, or have a life, every Doctor Who Anniversary has a crossover with past incarnations of the Doctor. It's essentially Spider-Man No Way Home, but it happens every 10 years or so, and are usually the most acclaimed episodes of the show's history. But there is one that is so bad, Whovians call it the Star Wars Holiday Special, but for Doctor Who. And its name? Dimensions in Time. But why is it so hated? Well, there's a few reasons, but to know why it failed, we need to understand why the other specials worked. So join me as we look at Doctor Who Anniversary Specials and try to fix Dimensions in Time, hopefully, maybe, I don't know. Without further ado, let's start with the review? Recap? Whatever you want to call it. Starting with... Now, as for the first Doctor Who Anniversary Special, does it still hold up all these years later? Well, yeah, mostly. This plot is very simple compared to the ones that come after this one, but that is far from a negative. The plot is a resolution of sorts for the Third Doctor's run, but I'm getting ahead of myself already. So, what is the plot about? The plot starts with a British man finding a mysterious device in the forest that makes a weird sound before disappearing into thin air. I can't be bothered to remember his name, so sorry. As Dr. Tyler visits the site for the mysterious device. Dr. Tyler calls for Unit's help, and we cut to Tyler explaining the disappearance to Joe, Brigadier, and the Third Doctor, played by John Pertwee at the time. As the Doctor and Joe inspect the area where the British man disappeared, I keep calling him the British man, and all I can think about is that one scene from Shrek.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin!
Dr. Tyler tries to find out what caused the disappearance until a weird cosmic energy emerges and he disappears as well. When Joe and the Doctor come back to Unit driving Bessie, the greatest Doctor Who character of all time, they come across that very same cosmic energy. As they run to get away from it, Bessie gets caught in the crossfire, disappearing as well. Don't worry though, Bessie is alright. They can't kill the best character in Doctor Who history after all.
Poor old Bessie.
Anyways, we cut back to Brigadier and Benton, along with Joe and the Doctor, joining in and explaining what the hell just happened a moment ago. Sending Benton to put someone on guard near the drains. The Brigadier explains that the British man's wife has filed a missing report, while the Doctor tells Brigadier he's found the British man as his face is what appeared on the X-ray scanner. Jesus Christ, that is terrifying. The Doctor then tells Brigadier that it was hunting him specifically, and that the British man, Tyler, and Bessie disappeared because they were caught in the crossfire. Then these cheesy things come out of nowhere and overwhelm Unit as nothing stops them. The Doctor tells Joe that he's going to take the risk and face the cosmic matter head on. Joe objects, and Benton joins the conversation as he got orders to protect both him and Joe. When the cosmic thing appears again, and all three retreat to the TARDIS. I swear this plot gets more and more convenient. Benton marvels at the TARDIS interior as it's his first time seeing the inside of the TARDIS in person. The Doctor, not seeing another choice, calls an SOS upon the same people who exiled him all those years ago.
The Time Lords.
Unfortunately, the Time Lords are also having problems of their own, as they're not only using their own energy to protect the Doctor, but a black hole is producing cosmic energy and sending it down to Earth. If it's not stopped, the fabric of time and space will be destroyed. The Time Lords, not seeing another option, choose to break their own rules and lift the second Doctor, played by Patrick Troughton, from his time onto the third Doctor's time. There's just one problem.
Are we going to take this attitude to my music all the time?
Yes, frankly, we are.
Well, you've been fiddling with it, haven't you?
It was perfectly all right until you touched it. Now, if only you leave things to me.
If we were to leave things to you, my dear fellow, we'd be in a fine pickle, wouldn't we?
They bicker and argue, so they get the first Doctor to keep both Doctors from fighting and give them advice. The first Doctor appears after mocking both Doctors.
Oh, so you're my replacements. A dandy and a clown.
And tells them that the cosmic energy outside the TARDIS is a time bridge. The second and third Doctor flip a coin to see who crosses, and third loses. He jumps in, but Joe, not wanting to leave the Doctor's side, gets caught in the crossfire, ending part 1. So part 2 starts off where we left off, with the third Doctor and Joe being sent to the Gulag.
Welcome to the Gulag. If you survive, you earn your freedom.
The second Doctor and Benton try to analyze and determine what to do with said time bridge, as the Brigadier shows up, and I'll just let this little moment play out because I find it absolutely hilarious.
Brigadier, leave it alone! It's not dangerous for the moment. It seems to think it's achieved its mission.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Yes, but you're not the...
Yes, it is, sir. It's the first one.
How are you, Brigadier?
Pretty well, thanks. Doctor, what the blazes are you doing? Why have you changed your appearance? And what's happened to Miss Grant?
Moving on, the Doctor and Joe appear in the middle of a field, and Joe acts like she's never seen rocks in a field before.
Where are we?
As they leave, those knockoff Zygon things appear again, and we cut back to the Brigadier and the second Doctor. The Brigadier leaves to contact Geneva, while the second Doctor tries to render the cosmic energy harmless by feeding it useless information. While all of this is happening, the third Doctor and Joe find all of the stuff that was teleported from Unit, including Bessie. Yes, the best Doctor Who character of all time returns! And so both Joe and the Doctor drive off. Suddenly, Joe and the third Doctor find some footprints and go on foot to find out where it leads, only for the British man to show up again watching them. We come back to Benton, the second Doctor, and Brigadier, who needs to explain the situation to the UN. At least, I think it's the United Nations. Which leaves Benton alone with the creature. Benton, being Benton, angers the creature by throwing a piece of wrapping paper, leaving Benton, Brigadier, and the second Doctor trapped inside the TARDIS again.
So this is what you've been doing with unit funds and equipment all this time. How's it done? Some sort of optical illusion?
Oh, no, they come like this, really.
We cut back to Tyler, Joe, and the Doctor. While the Doctor explains the situation to the both of them, this is where we are introduced to our main villain of the story, Omega, a being so powerful even both Doctors fear him. Omega senses minions to capture the Doctor, Joe, and Tyler in an ambush, while the second Doctor and Brigadier argue as to what the next course of action should be.
I'm sorry, Doctor, but I'm afraid I must insist. My place is with the men out there, trying to do something about, well, this whatever it is out there. Not standing about here messing around looking for some damn fool float!
When the trio make it to Omega's palace, Tyler tries to get away on his own, but in classic Doctor Who Scooby-Doo tradition, he ends up back where he started. The first Doctor jumps back in and advises the second Doctor to turn off the TARDIS shield before disappearing into the void. The second Doctor realizes what the first is talking about and turns it off, sending all of Unit HQ into a black hole, ending part 2. Now this is where the story really kicks into high gear, so let's get straight into part 3, shall we? After the small recap, we come back to the third Doctor where he finally comes face to face with Omega. After Joe and Tyler get put in a cell, we will learn more about Omega and the Time Lords. He was essentially a time god who was presumed dead. He created time travel for the Time Lords and went on a dangerous mission, only to be abandoned by his people. He was sacrificed to a supernova and ended up in a black hole which, spoilers for part 4, the land only exists because he wished it into existence. Omega wants revenge for what the Time Lords did to him and asks for the help of the Doctor. Meanwhile, the second Doctor, Brigadier, and Benton all land safely inside the antimatter world. And the Brigadier is pissed. I'll let this one play out cause it's too funny not to show.
Well, where do you reckon we are?
Not where he thinks we are.
Now, see here, Doctor, you have finally gone too far.
I rather think we all have. What's it like out there?
There's sand everywhere.
Oh, splendid. Who's for a swim?
Do you realize what you've done? You've stolen the whole of Unit HQ. Now, what am I going to tell Geneva? That the whole blessed building has been picked up and put down on some deserted beach? We're probably miles from London.
I'm afraid we're a little bit further than that, Brigadier.
Then, after more banter, the second Doctor and Benton are cornered by these red bubble wraps, while the Brigadier finds the British man outside of Unit, and he tells the Brigadier about the Doctor and Joe. This is when the Brigadier realizes they are indeed two Doctors. As they continue talking, they hide as the second Doctor and Benton are being led into Omega's palace. At last, both Doctors are finally reunited, but Omega realizes the Time Lord's plan and gets very angry as he sends both Doctors away to be executed. Back in the cell, both Doctors start arguing yet again about their regenerations, but their companions stop them from the argument and make amends for now, as they discuss Omega's origins, confusion in his plan of revenge, and how they are standing in the black hole. Then Joe gets an insane idea. That being, since the Doctor is a Time Lord, and there's two of him, their will is more than a match for Omega's will. Seeing how the idea could work, they sheer will a door into existence. And it works, allowing both Doctors to escape. They find a singularity chamber in Omega, who is angered by the fact the Doctors have freed themselves. The Doctors stand up against Omega, who uses his will to fight the third Doctor in a mind battle, while the companions escape the palace with Brigadier and the British man. Meanwhile, the first Doctor gets contacted by the Time Lords, who are about to use their last of their energy to help the two other Doctors who are still losing against Omega, ending part 3. Very well, let's end this and then get to the analysis. After the recap of the last part, the second Doctor tells Omega he needs the third Doctor in order to escape and lets him go. The second Doctor tries to test the limits of Omega's anger, while the third Doctor tries to reason with Omega. Omega explains how he willed everything around him into existence, including the Doctors getting transported there. The Doctors add that the moment he wills to escape, he abandons control, something Omega does not want to do. So he gave a task to the Doctors to take over for him so that he may escape, leaving both Doctors trapped. They obey reluctantly as both have no choice in the matter. They are ordered to remove Omega's mask only to reveal the plot twist of the century as the corrosion had already taken over all of Omega's body, leaving nothing left. Omega lives through sheer will and sheer will alone. Omega is distraught by this as he starts crying like a 5-year-old who didn't get his Toys R Us toy. The two Doctors escape as Omega starts yelling about his will to destroy and be destroyed.
And all things shall be all things, all things.
I told you ain't got. Come on, out.
Everyone runs back to unit headquarters and head into the TARDIS. Meanwhile, the Time Lords are almost out of energy as they tried sending the First Doctor into the black hole as well. Speaking of which, the First Doctor comes back to check up on the two Doctors who are trapped in the TARDIS yet again. The three Doctors find a way to defeat Omega as they use contact to combine their intelligence. After they get a plan on how to defeat Omega, the First Doctor disappears again. The Brigadier at this point is just so over it and just wants to go home. I feel kind of bad for him. The Doctors tell Omega they think they found a way to give him his freedom, and for the first time in ages, the TARDIS takes off for the first time since the second Doctor's exile, landing in Omega's palace. They bargain with Omega. The two Doctors must stay with him for eternity, but in exchange, their companions get to go home. Not seeing another option, the Doctors say goodbye to everyone. The Doctors try again and tell him that he can have his freedom by bringing out the force field generator. Omega gets very angry and destroys the generator, which sends everything and everyone back, including unit headquarters itself and the energy of the Time Lords. The First Doctor and the Second Doctor go back to the time zones and everything goes back to normal. However, the Third Doctor gets a surprise from the Time Lords as they give him the one gift he's been wanting for a long time.
Look, they've sent me a new dematerialization circuit. With my knowledge of time travel law and all the dematerialization codes, they've all come back. They've forgiven me. They've given me back my freedom.
Meanwhile, the British man meets back with his wife who's been worried sick about him and all he can think about is food. In other words, priorities. And that's the end of the three Doctors. Now let's get on to my favorite segment where we analyze why these specials worked, where dimensions in time failed. The Three Doctors is special in that it's the only Doctor Who anniversary special to not have a returning villain, rather opted to have a brand new villain, something the Two Doctors onwards will not do as far as I remember. But, for Doctor Who fans, I think you and I both know why this episode is so fondly remembered. The banter between the second and third Doctor are just too iconic. It defines these specials and layered the groundwork for the specials to follow, which is why I focus so much on it. The banter was actually inspired by the two Doctors themselves. John Pertwee and Patrick Troughton, who even offset, had a clash in a fun way, which drove the writers to create what we got. The banter between the returning Doctor and companions will continue to evolve and change like the show, and each Doctor interacts differently to one another. When you watch The Three Doctors, you can watch it in three separate ways: as an anniversary special, as a conclusion to the Third Doctor's exile arc, and as someone just watching for a fun time. It's just well written, and most of the effects still hold up today. There are certain rules to these specials that make them work as well as they do. Dimensions in Time fails on all fronts, but we'll take it one at a time. So how does Dimensions in Time make the Doctors interact with each other? And to that, I laugh and say, what interactions? Yep, Dimensions in Time is special in that the Doctors never interact once on screen. Now this wouldn't be so bad if the companions were compelling, but no. Reminder that they got the Susan, Carol Ann Ford, returned for Dimensions in Time, and what did they do with her? Nothing. She just yells for her doctor and her school teachers while telling the sixth Doctor he's not the Doctor before disappearing, never to be seen again. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. We still have like 7 more specials to go. So let's continue to the show's 20th anniversary with Now this is what I'm talking about. The Three Doctors was good, but this is when Doctor Who Anniversaries started to run. So what makes this one compelling to compare to the Three Doctors? Let's find out, shall we? So the episode starts with the unveiling at the new TARDIS console room that would stick till the 7th Doctor.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Tegan, Tolo, and the Doctor are all chilling on a calm planet that might as well play some ASMR because it's calming.
It's marvelous here. I feel so calm and relaxed.
It's the high bombardment of positive ions.
When suddenly we see an evil hand, who pulls the first Doctor out of the time stream, who's just out for a stroll. It is important to note here that by this time, William Hartnell, who had played the first Doctor since 1963, had long since passed away. 3 years after the Three Doctors, as a matter of fact. So here he is played by Richard Hurdle, who passed away 5 months after the first airing of the 5 Doctors. Is the first Doctor role cursed or something? Do we need to put David Bradley on a Doctor Who watch list to protect him? The fact that it happened twice is just wild to me, but I'm getting sidetracked. One by one, the Doctors are kidnapped from the past, hurting the 5th Doctor in the process. The 2nd Doctor gets kidnapped during the Brigadier's final day before retirement, with him getting caught in the crossfire. The 3rd Doctor is riding Bessie when he gets kidnapped. And the 4th Doctor and Romana decided not to show up, so they are both trapped as a wobbly JPEG, stopping the 5th Doctor from completely fading. However, since the 4th Doctor decided not to join the party, Sarah Jane gets kidnapped instead after ignoring K9. The Doctor gets dragged into the TARDIS as Tegan and Talo try to help him as they land on Gallifrey. Meanwhile, the Time Lords have noticed said Doctors disappearing and enlist the help of the Master, a recurring villain of the Doctors, opposites to the Doctor in every way. They give the Master a High Council seal and a teleporter to go and help the Doctor. Speaking of which, the 1st Doctor wanders around and runs into Susan, in her only canonical return since the Dalek invasion of Earth. Both wonder where they are when suddenly the Doctor's most iconic and threatening foe starts chasing the two of them as a Dalek was transported as well. They run through a mirror maze, somehow not bumping into the mirrors, when the 1st Doctor gets an idea and pushes the Dalek into a dead end, shooting and destroying itself. Here we learn that our favorite Doctors and companions have all been transported in the area known as the Death Zone. We then catch up with the Brigadier and the 2nd Doctor, who are both arguing as usual before they are attacked by Cyberman. The Doctor naturally helps free the Brigadier, and we cut to the 3rd Doctor with Bessie as they come across Sarah Jane, who falls down like a kid rolling down dramatically in a foggy area. The 3rd Doctor throws a rope and backs Bessie up to pull Sarah Jane to safety. When Sarah sees the Doctor for the first time in a while, she's shocked to see the 3rd Doctor instead of the 4th Doctor.
It's me. Hello, Sarah Jane.
No, it's you.
That's right.
No, you changed. Remember? You became all,
Teeth and curls?
Yes.
Yes, well, maybe I did. But I haven't yet.
I see.
Meanwhile, the 1st Doctor and Susan find the 5th Doctor's TARDIS, encountering Tolo and Tegan taking care of the Doctor.
Who are you? More to the point, what are you young people doing inside my TARDIS?
It's his TARDIS.
And who might he be?
The Doctor.
Good grief.
The 1st Doctor pulls the 5th Doctor up, saving him from a disappearing act.
As it happens, I am the Doctor. The original, you might say.
Meanwhile, the 2nd Doctor and Brigadier are headed to the tomb of Rassilon. Here we learn a little more about Rassilon. He had tremendous power just like Omega, and misused that power. They created the Death Zone and kidnapped others to play the game. In other words, it's Hunger Games, but both the rich and the poor play the game. Meanwhile, First argues with the Fifth Doctor, who wants to go into the tower immediately, while the First says that they should wait for the other two doctors. The Fifth Doctor argues that they must leave immediately as they'll never make it and that there is evil at work. Meanwhile, the Third Doctor and Sarah are running down Bessie when they find the Master. Naturally, the Third Doctor doesn't trust him for a second, as the Master put him through dirt and mud and thinks it's a trap and doesn't budge. The Master then remarks that he knew this was going to be difficult, but he didn't think the Doctor would be so stupid as to make it impossible. Suddenly, they are attacked as the Doctor leaves the Master to fend for himself.
No, we can't leave him.
You just watch me.
The Fifth Doctor then explains there are 3 entrances to the tomb. We'll go into those details later when the Doctors get to it. Meanwhile, we come back to the Second Doctor explaining Rassilon's backstory to the Brigadier, as they make their way to one of the 3 entrances, so we'll come back to them in a bit. Meanwhile, the Fifth Doctor, Tegan, and Susan try to make their way to the tower when they encounter the Master, who tries to help the Doctor. The Doctor asks for a seal from the High Council. The Master tells him his third self took the seal, and the Fifth doesn't trust him. Suddenly, they are both ambushed by an army of Cybermen. The Master gets zapped, and the Doctor steals the teleporter and flees via teleporter, landing in the High Council room. Tegan and Susan run away, as well as in classic dramatic Susan fashion, she trips and falls with Tegan helping her back into the TARDIS. The Master's patience being at his limit, he decides to start working with the Cybermen for now. With the Fifth Doctor gone, the First Doctor decides he must go into the tower, and Tegan decides to go as well despite the First Doctor's reluctance. We come back to the Fifth Doctor, who explains that he was brought here. The High Council exclaims that the time scoop is prohibited and that he accuses a Time Lord. They ask for evidence, obviously, something the Doctor doesn't have. But he explains the Cybermen were brought there too, as the Time Lords forbid Cybermen and Daleks to play in the games. And the thing the Doctor noticed is that the Master's recall device had a tracking beacon, which Baruza exclaims Castellan gave him. Baruza sends Gallifrey soldiers to search his office and home. We come back to the Master, who is trying to manipulate the Cybermen into helping him. Then Susan and Tolo talk about the Doctors and Tegan before being interrupted by Cybermen who plan to blow up the TARDIS.
Oh no.
Cybermen.
So remember when I told you all about the entrances to the tomb earlier? Well, now is the time to talk about it, as each Doctor enters through a different way. The Second Doctor and the Brigadier are first and take to the caves, going in under with the Second Doctor illuminating the path. They're attacked by a Yeti, but it's nothing the Doctor and Brigadier couldn't handle and get inside. The Third Doctor and Sarah Jane are attacked by a Raston warrior robot. Hiding by some rocks, they try to strategize on how to get past it as they need to climb a mountain. When the Cybermen arrive in pursuit of the Doctor and Sarah, this causes the perfect diversion for the Doctor to steal the Raston's weapons and ropes, while the Cybermen are absolutely demolished by Raston.
Extra arrows. Something about a fight with. Wait a minute. These might come in handy. Yeah, I'll take them.
The third Doctor uses the rope to get across from the mountain to the roof of the tower, as both him and Sarah zipline across and enter the tower. And finally, the first Doctor and Tegan make their way to the main doors and get in that way. Now that they're all inside the tower, we'll come back to them in a bit. The Time Lord General finds the Dark Scrolls of Rassilon in Castellan's room, which catches fire shortly after the box is opened. Castellan still denies everything and says he is innocent. Not seeing another option, Barusa claims to use the mind probe on Castellan, who gets killed shortly after. The Doctor berates the soldiers and General for obvious reasons. If it wasn't obvious, Castellan was in fact innocent, and the Doctor realizes this, so he starts investigating. Now let's come back to the other incarnations. So the first Doctor and Tegan get in, and the Doctor tosses coins, which reveals a booby trap.
Diabolical ingenuity. Nothing happens until you reach the 5th row, halfway, and then the entire board becomes a death trap.
The Master shows up and helps the first Doctor and Tegan as he lures the Cyberman in the trap and kills the remaining Cyberman, with the Master tricking the Cyber leader and killing him with the Cyber gun.
Wasn't that a little ruthless, even for you?
In one of the many wars on your miserable little planet, they used to drive sheep across minefields. So it's as easy as pie. What an extraordinary fellow. As easy as pie? As easy as pie?
That's what he said.
Meanwhile, the second Doctor and Brigadier encounter Jamie and Zoe, telling the Doctor that there is a force field and it will kill them if the Doctor deactivates it. The Brigadier and the Doctor are worried, but then the sad and depressing reality sets in for the Doctor, and he realizes they are illusions as the Time Lords wipe their memories and sent them both back to their proper place in time at the end of the War Games. I will admit, this scene hurts to watch a tiny bit, especially with the pure seriousness and sadness in the eyes of the second Doctor, because he got his hopes up for nothing. Anyways, the third Doctor gets hit with a similar trick as well, but with Mike Yates and Liz Shaw instead. But the third Doctor is smarter than the second Doctor and realizes it's a trick near instantly when looking at their faces. It's at this point all three original Doctors meet up, with the first berating the second and third Doctor for being late, along with a little continuity, as despite Sarah meeting Tegan for the first time, both have met the Brigadier and bond over their Doctor's attitude and kicking them out when things get interesting. The three Doctors find a riddle that, spoilers, leads to our villain's defeat. I'll just let the Doctor speak for me.
Sure, Doctors, but what does it say?
That this is the tomb of Rassilon, where Rassilon lies in eternal sleep.
It also says that anyone who's got this far has passed a number of dangers and shown great courage and determination. What does this bit mean?
To lose is to win, and he who wins shall lose.
I know what it says. What does it mean?
It also promises that whoever takes the ring from Rassilon's hand and puts it on shall get the reward he seeks.
What reward?
Immortality.
But live forever, never die.
That is what the word means, young man.
But that's impossible.
Apparently not.
It seems Rassilon possesses it now and is willing to share it with whoever takes the ring.
So anyway, the Master shows up out of nowhere, and at his limit, he tries to take immortality for himself. But the Brigadier and the third Doctor stop him, and he's down for the count. Susan and Talo, in the meantime, take off inside the TARDIS, barely escaping the Cybermen's bombs, landing inside the tower with the rest of our companions. Meanwhile, the fifth Doctor finds a harp and figures out it's a musical key. Looking at the painting, he stumbles upon the villain's lair, and it is revealed to be Barusa behind it all, who mind controls the fifth. Both the Doctor and Barusa teleport to the tower, and Barusa uses his mind control to freeze the companions until he says so. Barusa thanks the Doctors for serving their purpose, but the Doctors are not having it, and thanks to Contact, break the fifth Doctor's mind lock, with him commenting that with the four of them, they are a match for Barusa. Fortunately for them, this is when Rassilon is awakened. Barusa asks for the power of immortality, and Rassilon reassures Barusa. Rassilon asks about the doctors, and Barusa responds that they are his servants. The second, third, and fifth doctors all deny involvement except for the first doctor, who says Barusa deserves immortality. And what happens next is somewhat disturbing in classic Doctor Who fashion, so I'll just let it play out, because oh my god, this might be one of the more disturbing scenes in the show's history.
Others have come to claim immortality through the ages. It was given to them, as it shall be given to you. Your place is prepared, Lord President Barusa.
Then Rassilon turns to the doctors and asks if they want immortality, to which their response is absolutely hilarious as they panic to answer Rassilon. Fifth asks that all 4 previous incarnations of his past companions be returned to their proper place in time. Rassilon admires the doctor's wisdom and grants them their wish. The first doctor knew that the riddle meant that immortality was a curse, not a blessing. To lose is to win, and he who wins shall lose. The fifth doctor talked to the other doctors and companions for a bit before they all say goodbye to one another.
You're the latest model.
Yes, and the most agreeable.
Oh, certainly the most impudent.
Well, goodbye, my boy. You did quite well. Quite well. It's reassuring to know that my future is in safe hands.
Well, goodbye. Goodbye. Fancy pants.
Scarecrow. Doctor, goodbye. Doctors, Brigadier. Splendid fellows, all of you.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say, I've had the time of my lives.
Haven't we, Sarah Jane?
Have we? Well, I only have one life, and I think I've had too much already. Goodbye. Yes, it was really nice meeting you.
Thank you, Sarah Jane. It was nice meeting you, too. What? I'll explain later.
I'm definitely not the man I was. Thank goodness.
Are we all going home together?
Watch.
Then Chancellor Flavia appears with guards and grants the Doctor to be Lord President as an emergency power since Barusa is gone. The Doctor, being the Doctor, gets Flavia the power instead and runs away in the TARDIS, with the Fifth Doctor ending this episode beautifully.
It'll soon be goodbye then.
Will it?
Well, you're off to Gallifrey to be president. I suppose your Time Lord subjects will find a TARDIS that really works and get us both home.
Who said anything about Gallifrey?
You told Chancellor Flavia.
I told her she had full powers until I return.
You're not going back?
You know, sometimes, Tegan, you take my breath away.
Won't the Time Lords be very angry?
Furious.
You mean you're deliberately choosing to go on the run from your own people in a rackety old TARDIS?
Why not? After all, that's how it all started.
And ending with a rendition of Dahlia Derbyshire and Ron Grainer's iconic theme with Peter Howell's iconic radiophonic instruments. I love this episode. Now moving on to our analysis, let's bash Dimensions in Time again, but this time for different reasons. This time we're talking about the effective use of legacy villains and monsters. We'll come back to this as well because I just want to show you how well Dimensions in Time used these iconic characters. The Dalek, or lack thereof anyway, he made one appearance in the Five Doctors and they just kill him off immediately with no other Daleks appearing. The Yeti at least had a better purpose in the story compared to the Dalek, because the Yeti traps the Brigadier and the Second Doctor, having the two of them be forced into the tower. You could have replaced that one Dalek with anyone else, and it would have barely made a difference. However, I think I know what they were trying to go for. They were trying to emulate the very first Dalek story where the Doctor and Susan are powerless to the Daleks, and trying to show how the Doctor grew to be a big threat to the Daleks and more powerful therefore. These corridors they run scream first Dalek story. However, if there were more Daleks, I think this would have been executed better. However, where the story shines is with the Cybermen and the Master. This is probably my third favorite story with the Cybermen, next to Earthshock and Tomb of the Cybermen. They are beautifully written here, as they pose a huge threat to our heroes just because of how many there are. Seriously, I could make a drinking game out of the amount of Cybermen there were. And the Master is amazing as always, with Anthony Ainley in the role. The Master as a character always just steals the show when he's on screen, and in this era, this was no exception. He was everywhere. And having Barusa as a villain when he's helped the 4th and 5th Doctor up to this point in the story is kinda heartbreaking, as the Doctors trusted him as a friend and as an ally he could rely on when everyone else on Gallifrey didn't. Now, how did Dimensions in Time one up the 5 Doctors? Well, I'll tell you. Remember when I bashed that one scene with the Dalek chasing Susan and the 1st Doctor? Well, Dimensions in Time actually did something very interesting and took it one step further. They removed the little character interaction there was left. They just appear from nowhere, and then just as they are introduced, they are gone. No explanation nor nothing. They literally do nothing.
Feeding time at the zoo?
And the companions went in 2 by 2.
This isn't Noah's Ark, Doctor.
Maybe it is. But when I say run, run. Run! This way!
No! Look, you gotta clear the streets. You're in terrible danger.
What's your game?
You gotta get away from here.
Here, who says? You start shoving me around, you'll know about it.
It's no good. They're in different time zones. To them, we're the strangers.
Have you any idea where we're going? Doctor, where's the TARDIS?
20 years back and 3 miles away. Come on.
You can't escape, Doctor! Say goodbye, Doctors!
It's just a showcase of Doctor Who monsters and their most iconic creature? You know, the Daleks?
You should kill yourself.
One of the most feared creatures in the show? They're not even here! Where are they? Probably in a much better special, that's for sure. I'm honestly a little riled up. But can you blame me? I mean, Dimensions in Time is the perfect example on how not to do a Doctor Who anniversary special. But let's go into a more positive mindset as we continue on to the 2 Doctors. And this one I find really interesting compared to the others. Yes, the 6th Doctor. An interesting time for Doctor Who, as the 6th quickly became one of the most controversial Doctors, with ratings dropping and the show purposely being sabotaged from the costume to the writing team to it eventually getting cancelled. You would think they would skip a multi-Doctor story, but to the contrary, they made it work, with the return of one Doctor in specific, Patrick Troughton. Without any other doctors returning, it stands out compared to the rest, especially as a continuation of the War Games. Is that a good or a bad thing? Let's find out, shall we? So the episode starts with the second Doctor and iconic companion Jamie McCrimmon traveling to a laboratory, and not only do I love the black and white to color transition, but the conversation between Jamie and the Doctor is just too iconic. I'll let them speak a little so you can get a taste as to what I mean.
Look at the size of that thing, Doctor.
Yes, Jamie, that is a big one.
Just a wee laboratory, eh?
Well, it's obviously it's grown.
It's like 20 castles in the sky. Are you sure we've come to the right place?
Of course I am.
We don't usually get to where you say we're going.
I got Victoria to where she wanted to go. Why she wants to learn graphology, I have no idea.
The Doctor sees something new in the TARDIS that gives the Time Lords control over the police box, to which he is not happy. This also confirms something you may have noticed already, but in the 5 Doctors, everyone looks the same except for the second Doctor, and here he has gray hair. As while not mentioned in the show, in the books, comics, and a bunch of other media, the second Doctor did not immediately regenerate in the War Games, but did a bunch of tasks for the Time Lords before being forced to regenerate and turn into the third Doctor. Same with Jamie here, as he loses his memories of the Doctor after the War Games. Just thought I'd clear that up. Anyways, they land in the kitchen where they meet an alien called Shockeye, who's a butcher. He gets angry and threatens the Doctor until he mentions his race and gets cold feet. He then notices Jamie and tries to buy him from the Doctor, who says he's not for sale, which angers Shockeye. As Jamie and the Doctor try to find the story, the TARDIS takes off, trapping the both of them on the ship. Probably the Time Lords taking precautions, knowing the Doctor's attempts to escape them. And we are introduced to another villain, Chasine, who I totally didn't Google up because I forgot her name. After a villain monologue, we cut back to the Doctor and the story. It's here we learn that the story has been experimenting with time travel, and the Time Lords want to put a stop to it. The story calls out the Time Lords' hypocrisy as Chasine asks if the Doctor and Jamie will like something to eat, but the Doctor refuses despite Jamie's reluctance. The Doctor asks if she was an androgam, to which the story confirms his suspicion that the story has also been doing experiments on other creatures. And what the story and the Doctor both argue about here is interesting because neither of them are in the wrong, and while you may agree with what the Doctor is saying, what the story says isn't out of the question either. I'll let you all hear both sides, and you guys tell me who you agree with.
I've carried out 9 augmentations on Chasine. She's at mega genius level now. I'm very proud of her.
Proud of her or your own skill?
Perhaps a little of both. But all that androgam energy is now functioning on a higher plane. She spends days in the databank simply sucking in knowledge.
She's still an androgam. You can't change nature. In Chassine's case, I believe I have. That's dangerous ground, Astari. Give a monkey control of its environment, it'll fill the world with bananas.
Really, Doctor, I expected something more progressive from you. Don't you understand the tremendous implications of my work?
Yes, that's why I say it's so dangerous.
Doctor, our races have become tired and effete. Our seed is thin. We must hand the baton of progress to others. If I can raise the androgams to a higher plane of consciousness, there's no limit to what that boiling energy might achieve.
Yes, darling. I have no doubt you could augment an earwig to the point where it understood nuclear physics. But it'd still be a very stupid thing to do.
Getting back on track, we see a pilot receive an oncoming signal, and here we see the return of the Centaurans, who will be our Cybermen in this story. The pilot is killed by Chasine, which unfortunately proves the Doctor correct, and opens the docking bays for the Centaurans to slip into the ship. It is here we are introduced to our main Doctor and companion of the story, the 6th Doctor and Perpigillium Perry Brown, as they are enjoying a nice visit to a lake. The Doctor is fishing, and here we get a little continuity.
I think it was Rassilon who once said, "There are few ways in which a Time Lord can be more innocently occupied than in catching fish."
Can I go on a side tangent real quick, because this scene actually made me realize how good some of these writers actually were. New Who has this problem where it always has to mention something from past adventures, and it's very in your face about it, especially in more recent episodes like The Devil's Court and The Timeless Child. Steve Moffat and Russell T Davies are amazing writers, but they have this huge problem of not being subtle when it comes to referencing past adventures. Which makes me appreciate scenes like this one in The Two Doctors a lot more, since a mention is good so long as you don't focus too much on it. Anyways, tangent over. Continuing on with the story. Perry and the Doctor argue for a little bit when it comes to quotations, with the Doctor quickly changing the subject and talking about the fish as he tries to catch one, but fails. We catch up with the second Doctor, who tries to reason with the story about the time travel experiment, but the story keeps on arguing with the Doctor, insisting that they are doing the ethical thing, while feeling insulted by the Doctor and the Time Lord's demands. The story puts its head down, and Jamie's response to the whole thing is just comedy gold.
What are you spotting at, you hairy-legged Highlander?
I'm just admiring your diplomatic skills.
Pop!
We learned that the story was drugged, and not long after, the Centaurans invade the lab, and while Jamie runs away, the second Doctor is captured by the Centaurans. Meanwhile, the sixth Doctor and Perry come back to the TARDIS, and the Doctor confesses that he hasn't felt like himself, but before he can continue talking, he starts feeling an immense amount of pain as the second Doctor is being tortured by the Centaurans. Jamie tries to yell for the Doctor, but Shockeye spots him and tries to hunt him. But he gets away after being called by... Hang on a second... Oh, right! Chasine, who tells Shockeye to get ready for their new destination, which Shockeye convinces Chasine to be Earth. We come back to the sixth Doctor and Perry, who, after feigning because of the distortion of time, tries to remember what we just saw with the second Doctor and figures out where he has to go. Meanwhile, poor Perry is trying to be helpful, but keeps being shot down by the Doctor like usual.
Perhaps you should see a doctor.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, it's just a suggestion.
A few moments later.
No!
You know, that was a good idea of mine, wasn't it?
What?
Getting medical help.
Just thought it was a funny moment. Anyways, the TARDIS lands in the same spot that the second TARDIS landed, although now the area is a lot more darker and more sinister. As Perry complains of the smell of rotting food, I'm convinced the Doctor just wants to scare the living daylights out of Perry. I mean, just listen to him talk!
And corpses?
Corpses?
That is the smell of death, Perry. Ancient musk, heavy in the air. Fruit soft flesh peeling from white bones. The unholy, unburyable smell of Armageddon. Nothing quite so evocative as one's sense of smell, is there?
And I mean, it worked!
I feel sick.
So the Doctor and Perry wander through the halls and we see the aftermath of the Centauran invasion. Perry is rightfully scared, but the Doctor being the Doctor, he wants to find out what happened and Perry reluctantly tags along. The Doctor comes to the conclusion that it was deliberately destroyed, with a computer voice telling him that the work being done in the ship was threatened by the Time Lords, and demands the Doctor to go back to the TARDIS or it will activate the system's booby traps. The Doctor is unfazed as he walks along with Perry. Unfortunately, the Doctor and Perry don't make it too far before the alarm goes off and the air starts depressurizing, trying to suffocate the Doctor and Perry. The Doctor and Perry make it, but Perry faints in the process, so the Doctor carries her out of danger. We cut back to Shockeye, Chasine, and a Centauran for a few seconds, who take over an innocent person's house, and spoilers, the owner dies to Shockeye. We come back to the sixth and Perry, who recovers in the story's office, now abandoned. The Doctor mentions how clever that story used to be, talking about his relationship with him. The Doctor unfortunately confirms that almost everyone on the ship is dead. The obvious one who is still alive is Jamie, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Perry asks the Doctor if the research was a threat to the Time Lords, in which the Doctor scoffs and denies the Time Lords' worries. Suddenly, the lights turn on because the computer was tracking Perry and the doctor's heat based off their feet. Didn't know the computer was a huge fan of Dan Schneider. Anyways, since they're standing on the carpet, the computer can't detect the two of them. The doctor starts reading the Starry's journal on his desk and discovers everything we knew when we started this episode with the demands to shut down the Time Tunnel project. The doctor's suspicions raise to his limit as he suspects foul play from some third party, with Perry mentioning that maybe the Time Lords were set up. The doctor praises Perry one of the few times Six shows that he does care for Perry and tries to figure out who's behind this framing. But before they can do that, Six and Perry try to figure out a way to turn the computer off permanently. The doctor overloads the door with a wire and both make their way down.
That was a bit further down than I expected.
While the doctor fiddles with the wire, Perry hears strange noises in which the doctor berates her for interrupting him as he was trying to teach Perry some information about the design of the place.
And the privilege of wisdom to listen.
Privilege? I can't tell you how privileged I feel. Having been half frozen and asphyxiated and cooked and then forced to clamber through miles of pipe.
Good. Because we have about another mile.
Later.
I heard it again. There's something down here with us.
That's not possible. You're imagining it.
I tell you, I'm certain I heard something.
Hydraulics.
What?
Well, some of these pumping systems are very old. There's bound to be the odd wheeze.
Well, it's the fiercest pump I ever heard.
There's something down here with us, Perry. There's something down here with us, Perry.
As the doctor and Perry get to the controls, the doctor starts fiddling with it as Perry sees a ladder, and as the doctor, distracted, goes down to investigate the noise she was hearing. Meanwhile, back on Earth, an explorer and a translator stumble upon a sign near the house where Chasine and the rest are now hiding. As they're waiting to hunt moths at night, they see a Centauran ship pass by. Naturally, the two of them run towards the site, and we see the second doctor being carried by none other than a Centauran and the Starry, who is alive. Meanwhile, Perry finds something on the ground, but is attacked by the alien who is making those weird noises, and the doctor is knocked out cold by gas, ending part 1. Overall, not a bad start. I like that this episode confirms what other media like the comics and novels used to tell, that being the second Doctor didn't immediately regenerate, but instead did a bunch of tasks for the Time Lords, slowly but surely regenerating into the third Doctor, hence the slow change in hair. Now, I know this might be controversial, but I really love the Sixth Doctor and Perry being jerks to each other. I find their banter really funny sometimes, and when Perry retaliates by talking back to the Doctor, it's kinda satisfying at times, I'm not gonna lie. As for the villains, however...
I don't like where this is going.
They could have used some work. Stop! The Starry and Shockeye are fine for what they are. Stop! And their names are at least somewhat memorable.
No. Please, Larry, you don't understand. You don't know what you're doing here.
But Chasine. What a terrible name for a main villain. And that is saying something when some of the worst Doctor Who villains still have better names. But I've already complained enough about the name, so I'll quit whining and move on to part 2. Perry fights the totally not Jamie McCrimmon off and gets the Sixth Doctor off his Sayori phase. The Sixth Doctor investigates the human body and finds out that it's Jamie McCrimmon, who survived the Centauran invasion. Six starts having a little existential crisis as he realizes his other self is missing. Jamie starts panicking, but the Doctor calms Jamie and puts him to sleep.
Relax. You've killed him.
Don't be ridiculous. I seem to remember I was always rather fond of Jamie.
He's not moving.
His nervous system's temporarily paralyzed. He'll be fine shortly.
Look,
Yes, Jamie?
He's not talking to you.
They killed the doctor. I'm afraid he's deranged. It's often the effect of extreme fear.
I love that the Sixth Doctor treats Jamie with care like a favorite child, while Perry gets all of the blame like a middle child. Meanwhile, the Second Doctor treats Jamie like most of his companions during his time. The Sixth Doctor knows what all of their fates were, and so these moments with the Sixth Doctor and Jamie feel more like he wants to not only forgive Jamie for what happened in the War Games, but also make up for it for as much as he can. Anyways, Jamie starts talking about how they quote-unquote killed the Doctor. To which obviously the Doctor denies, and Perry makes a remark that makes the Doctor realize the mind slip in the TARDIS was his past self. The Doctor then hypnotizes Jamie and starts interrogating him. The Doctor realizes the Centaurans are behind this, and both him and Perry decide to check out the computer to see if they can find any video evidence of the Centaurans, leaving Jamie to rest for the meantime. Meanwhile, we cut back to these two lovebirds again who are searching for the Centauran ship. What? Were you expecting more? No, that's just it. Just to remind us that, yep, they are Doctor Who characters saying, yep, they do exist. Anyways, we come back to Perry and the Sixth Doctor who are discussing why they would want to frame the Time Lords, to which Six doesn't know, but he talks about a probable cause and how the experiment in time travel could have resulted in an explosion that collapsed the universe, or as Six put it,
It'd be like putting a pin into a balloon.
Six thinks the collapse of the universe has started, and Perry goes up to check on Jamie, who wakes up. The Sixth Doctor reminisces of the times he spent exploring the universe, and I will admit, I got jump scared a little bit at this part. It's here the Doctor finds another twist in classic Who. As John Pertwee put it,
How? Your phantoms! Illusions of the mind!
He returns with Jamie, who is confused by the Sixth Doctor not looking like the Second Doctor. And I'll admit, this scene makes me chuckle every time.
I am another aspect of him, just as he is of me. Eh? I was him, he will be me.
Who will I be?
Perry, look at this.
Remember, Jamie was the only one who wasn't as smart as the Doctor, but where he lacked in brains, he made up for in bronze, as he is a skilled fighter and tactician, which is one of the many reasons people love Jamie as a companion. He stands out in a really good way. Anyways, the Sixth Doctor finally pieces it all together, and we are now one step closer to seeing the two Doctors interact. Here we also learn that the reason the Doctor and the other Time Lords can fly the TARDIS is because of symbiosis, which I just learned is a real thing. No, I'm serious, look it up. With the Centaurans wanting unlimited time travel by capturing the Second Doctor with no way of tracking them, the Sixth tries to use telepathy as it's the only thing that can help him at the moment. And Jamie always has the best comebacks.
Any kind of contact might sever the astral link and kill me.
How long will you be?
No. Seconds? Hours? Days? Who knows? There's no such thing as time on the astral plane.
I think your doctor's worse than mine.
Speaking of the Second Doctor, we come back to him tied up, finally waking up from his kidnapping, and sees Astari. The Sixth Doctor's plan works as he finds out the Second Doctor is being held at the chapel, and all three head back to the TARDIS and head to the Time Lord's rescue. Meanwhile, Chasine has Shaka and the Centauran move cargo from the Centauran ship. As the Second Doctor wakes up, he realizes the Centaurans are working with the Starry, and starts to remember the attack, and Jamie, who is now obviously with the Sixth Doctor safe and sound.
Now, my doctor wouldn't have done that.
Your doctor is an antediluvian fogey, allowing himself to be captured by the Sontarans. If anything happens to myself as a result of it, I will never forgive himself.
Oh, I do wish you'd stop switching personal pronouns and make it a lot easier to understand what you're talking about.
Speaking of which, the TARDIS lands somewhere near the forest near the hideout. The Sixth Doctor meets up with Oscar, who tells the Sixth Doctor where the aeroplane crashed, and both him and Anita show them the way after some encouragement by the Doctor. Meanwhile, the Second Doctor catches up with the Starry, and it's here we learn that their plan involved separating the symbiotic nuclei of the Second Doctor to make the person traveling inside stable. In other words, the Starry plans to give Chasine time travel, and the Doctor needs to stop her. The Starry starts gathering equipment for the experiment as the Sontaran known as Stike berates the Starry for wasting precious time, to which the Starry explains the experiment could take hours or days. The Second Doctor, while disagreeing with the Sontaran war, shows a little empathy as he asks Stike why he doesn't retire, but the Sontaran says he wants to die with honor rather than retire, much to the Doctor's dismay. We come back to the Sixth Doctor, who sneaks around and overhears Chasine and Shockeye talking. Six falls and almost reveals himself, but flees before he gets spotted, returning to Perry and the others. The Doctor describes the people inside, to which Jamie confirms the Doctor's suspicions. Anita suggests they sneak through an old cellar while Perry distracts them at the front door. Chasine, however, with her mind reading, sees that Perry is thinking of the Doctor, so for Jamie and the Sixth, time is essentially of the essence.
And there you go, Jamie. This ladder seems... Oh!
A wee bit rickety. Is that what you're going to say, Doctor?
Shaka and the Starry take the Second Doctor upstairs with Jamie, attempting to rescue his Doctor before being stopped by Six, who suggests having a look around the cellars first. Perry leaves, but Shaka is onto her survival instincts and chases after her, while the Sixth Doctor and Jamie find the time travel experiment. And I'll just let the Sixth Doctor explain this away, as it also gives us a little continuity from the Five Doctors.
A TARDIS?
Yeah.
Well, it worked. Right, well, if I use it, or any other Time Lord, not for anyone else.
Well, how not?
This machine has to be primed by what we call the Rassilon imprimatur. That's a kind of symbiotic print within the physiology of a Time Lord. Once that's been absorbed into the Briar nebulizer, you have a time machine that anyone can use. That, of course, is what they didn't understand. They simply copied the technology without realizing that old Rassilon had a second trick up his sleeve.
Unfortunately, the Sontarans ambush the two, and Perry sprains her ankle, with Shockeye catching up to her, ending part 2. Overall, this was mostly a nothing episode, just setting things up for episode 3, where things get really good. But what elevated this episode was the characters and the continuity. Much like the 3 Doctors, they kept referring back to the 5 Doctors in Rassilon, but the difference between Classic Who and New Who is that New Who sometimes just references it, but we'll get to those two later. Classic not only references it, but expands on it, providing huge amounts of lore not just about the Doctor, but for the Time Lords as a whole. And I know the Time Lords are hard to ride and yada yada yada, but I kinda miss him in New Who. Turn back before it's too late. Anyways, let's continue on to episode 3 and then bash on Dimensions in Time. So Shockeye captures Perry while the 6th Doctor and Jamie are being held captive by the Sontarans. The Sontaran threatens Jamie's life and orders the 6th Doctor to get into the time capsule. And it works! The 6th Doctor distracts the Sontaran, however, who has the intention of killing Jamie either way, while Jamie pulls out his knife. he paralyzes the Centauran and the two of them escape while Chasine and Dastari rush to the commotion. And finally, after 2 whole parts, we finally get the part we have all been waiting for. The Sixth Doctor and Jamie runs towards the entrance of the chapel, and words cannot describe how good this scene actually is.
Doctor! Jamie! There you are, Jamie.
Stop! I've come a long way for you.
Naturally. Don't expect any thanks.
However, the reunion is cut short as Chalkeye enters with Perry in tow as she's about to become nothing but human salami. And as if matters couldn't get worse, Chasine, Dastari, and the Centaurans spread out to search for Jamie and the Sixth Doctor. However, the Centaurans have other plans as the time module is operational, so they have no need to search for the Doctor. Chasine, not worried about the operation, decides to use a contingency plan to turn the Second Doctor into an androgum using Chalkeye's DNA. Both doctors overhear the whole thing and least to say they are frightened by the idea. In the meantime, the Centaurans plan to tell the fleet of their success in creating another time-space travel machine, and then blowing everything up including Chasine. Meanwhile, the Second Doctor is being turned into an androgum and the Sixth reunites with Perry, waking her with some water and running away to spy on the house with Jamie. Chasine and Dastari go to try and kill the Centaurans while Chalkeye feels betrayed by Chasine, who shot him earlier for the experiment with the Second Doctor, which quote-unquote worked, as he starts thinking about food and befriends Chalkeye very quickly. Meanwhile, the Centaurans and Dastari are trying to kill each other as the Sixth Doctor, Jamie, and Perry spy on them. However, it's ultimately Chasine who gets the last laugh, as the Centaurans are killed by a firework explosion. Or so they think. The Sixth Doctor finally comes out of hiding, only for Perry to spot the now androgum Second Doctor and Chalkeye heading towards the town. So the three give chase to the androgums. Chasine and Dastari also figure out Chalkeye and the Second Doctor's escape and head towards the town as well, while one of the Centaurans survives the explosion, though it doesn't matter anyway as the time machine accelerates his demise. The Second Doctor spots a car, and I swear the Doctor's favorite game is Grand Theft Auto 5 as he and Chalkeye steal a vehicle and throw the man unconscious. Now that I think about it, this is a very common thing the Doctor does. The First Doctor with his TARDIS, the Second Doctor with this vehicle, the Fifth Doctor hijacked a spaceship, then later on the Seventh with a van, the Eighth with the motorcycle, 10th was both a spaceship and a horse, the 11th stole a goddamn fire truck, the 12th Doctor stole a motherfucking tank, and I don't remember the 13th Doctor stole anything. And as of now, the 14th and 15th haven't stolen any vehicles as it's currently still airing. The 6th Doctor is already starting to feel the effects with Jamie hurrying the Doctor to chase after them. However, try as they might, Dastari and Chasine are already in the town looking for the two of them. And when the 6th Doctor gets to the town, they are nearly spotted by the two. While the 2nd Doctor and Chalkeye find the restaurant, they make great impressions of Queso as they just devour every food that is served in front of them. Meanwhile, wait, you're still alive? How?
What the fuck?
Oh, wait, never mind. Moving on. Oscar and Anita are apparently the ones who managed the restaurant, and after 12 servings, Oscar demands a payment from the 2nd Doctor and Chalkeye, who doesn't take the check kindly, stabbing Oscar with a knife and then fleeing, while the 2nd Doctor is fast asleep from the amount of food he ate. The Sixth Doctor finds Oscar and the Second Doctor first, and just in time too. As while Oscar dies, the Second Doctor returns to his usual Time Lord self.
Can you walk? Of course I can walk. Right, come on. I am a police officer. Come along with me, sir.
What is this?
Anything that you may say.
Who do I
take
think you are?
Now you come along with me, sir. Let go of me. This way. No. This way. Now look! You got me into this mess.
Will you two please stop squabbling? We'll go this way.
Okay, this part was pretty funny. Perry leads the way for the Doctors and Jamie, but unfortunately running to Chasine with a gun. Oh yeah, the story is there too, I guess. The two lead the Doctors and companions back to the house with Shockeye already there. And finally we get confirmation that Stike is finally dead as everyone is led to the cellars. The Sixth Doctor hands the symbiotic print to Chasine, and to test if the Doctor is lying, they put Perry into the machine and activate it just to test it. Chasine then asks the Starry to chain them all up, with the Sixth Doctor making remarks like usual. While chained, Jamie is taken by Shockeye to be cooked, while the Second Doctor compliments the Sixth Doctor's plan to deceive everyone, Chasine included. The two Doctors hatch a plan and use the wheelchair to get the key on the table, and the Sixth Doctor escapes to help Jamie, while the Second Doctor stays to free himself and Perry. Jamie is tied up and neutralized by Shockeye, who is talking to the Starry when Chasine storms in to tell them about the Sixth Doctor's escape. All three of them scatter immediately to find the Sixth Doctor, unaware that he was hiding in plain sight. The Sixth Doctor unties an unconscious Jamie, but is ambushed by Shockeye, who injures the Sixth Doctor's leg and flees. Now Shockeye chases after the Sixth Doctor as he hunts him like Perry. However, the Sixth Doctor is much smarter and outwits Shockeye by ambushing him with chloroform.
The blood is warm and salt, Time Lord. I know how near you are.
You're just desserts.
While Jamie gains consciousness and hides in the cellar, the Second Doctor and Perry attempt to escape, but the Starry stops them in their tracks in order to kill them. But the Starry finally sees reason for the first time and decides enough is enough. Chasine kills the Starry and the Doctor and Perry almost die, but Jamie knocks the gun out of her hands and she goes into the time machine, which explodes, killing her.
Is she dead?
Very. Molecular disintegration.
Horrible.
Well, that's it then.
Aye. Except for that Shockeye.
He's been, mothballed.
And of course, we need one last banter between the Doctors.
It's been necessary.
A Stattenheim remote control? Where did you get that? I've always wanted one of those.
Some of us have earned these little privileges.
Jamie.
After you, Doctor?
Oh, no. After you, Jamie.
Bye, Perry.
Bye.
Doctor?
Jamie, and keep an eye on the old gentleman, will you?
Do try to keep out of my way in future and in past, there's a good fellow. The time continuum should be big enough for both of us. Just.
Do you know, I think I preferred you as an androgun.
With Perry and the Sixth Doctor imitating the Second Doctor and Jamie, they both end the episode with both agreeing not to fish anymore after what happened with Shockeye. Now, what I like about this episode is that, in a way, it's basically the opposite of the Three Doctors in terms of the characters. The Second and Sixth Doctors bicker, yes, but not as much as when compared to the Second and Third Doctors. They work together and complement each other. They feel like one character than two because they have the same personality traits at their core. And I like that. Now, it's this episode a masterpiece that deserves to be remembered like the last two? No, absolutely not. But is it still good? Yeah, pretty much. It's definitely unique in the way that the two Doctors work together rather than against each other. Now, how did Dimensions in Time screw this up? Well, in the Two Doctors, something else that was unique wasn't the Doctors, rather the companions, as while there was an interaction between the companions and the Five Doctors, nothing beat the Two Doctors in the way they handled Jamie and Perry. As Jamie always had an active role in the story beginning to end, something the last two never did with any companion, as the Doctors were the sole focus for the most part. In a way, balancing the cast was a blessing in disguise, as it allowed for the sole focus to be on Jamie and Perry. Dimensions in Time screwed up royally in this department the most, as they got Susan, Ace, Brigadier, Sarah Jane, K9, even Romana made a goddamn appearance for God's sake, and all they did with these companions was 1. Walk, 2. Talk, 3. Change Doctor and Companion with bright light, and then finally 4. Repeat. No character development or nothing. Made worse by the fact that they added too many characters for no reason, and a show no one outside the UK has heard of, and you have a recipe for disaster just waiting to happen. It wouldn't be so bad if the story flowed well, but that's not what we got. Anyways, we only have 2 more to go before we deep dive into Dimensions in Time itself. The next one I have personal attachments to personally, and I bet most of you all do as well. So let's jump to 2013's The Day of the Doctor. Arguably the best Doctor Who special, period. Now originally, I was just going to talk about the classic Doctor Who specials, but I decided to include New Who as well just to get it out of the way. Plus, I have a lot to talk about, as this was my first Doctor Who multi-Doctor special that I ever watched as it aired, so it's very special to me. I became a Doctor Who fan during David Tennant's final season and the first season of Matt Smith, who became my favorite Doctor of all time. I was scrolling through Netflix back in 2010 and I saw this weird show called Doctor Who. The TARDIS floating in space with the show's logo intrigued me as a kid, and when I started watching Christopher Eccleston's first episode, I was hooked. Later in 2012, I will log into Hulu and discover classic Doctor Who for the first time. I started with the 7th Doctor serial, Remembrance of the Daleks, and after learning about the show's history thanks to YouTube and Doctor Who Night, I quickly went to season 1 and started watching An Unearthly Child. While I was watching the classic series for the first time, however, I was also watching Series 7B as it aired, and needless to say, I was hyped to see the other Doctors return. I literally could not take my eyes off the screen, and later that year, I got my first sonic screwdriver as a Christmas present. It was one of the best gifts, and I say that because 2013 is when my dreams came true. One time I went to Hot Topic not because I was emo, but because they were the only store that had everything I liked. One time when my mom and I went to a Hot Topic, I had quickly discovered that it had become a Doctor Who merchandise haven. I went bananas. I got 3 Doctor Who t-shirts, 2 blind box minifigures, a sonic screwdriver, a weeping angel pen, multiple action figures, etc, etc. You get the idea. On one of my birthdays though, I got a flight control TARDIS from Series 7B, and I was overjoyed. While it wasn't the flight control TARDIS I wanted, that would have been the 10th Doctor's at the time, I was still happy to own any TARDIS, and I have many happy memories with that toy that I still own to this day. I would also watch a notorious toy reviewer known as Vosaxon07 and his reviews on Doctor Who toys. But as for the show itself, there was a lot to look forward to as we all eagerly waited. There was the Science of Doctor Who, which was a special where they could use real-world science and educate viewers with things like Einstein's theory to flame colors. It was the least interesting out of the 3, but it was still really cool. Then there was the mini-sode with the 8th Doctor, basically bridging the gap between classic Doctor Who and modern Doctor Who, with the regeneration of the 8th Doctor and the start of the Time War. And finally, there was an Adventure of Time and Space, my personal favorite. A documentary of how Doctor Who was created from scratch and became this huge phenomenon. I recommend a watch if you haven't watched this yet, as it's a very wholesome documentary, even if it gets some small things wrong. But all of this to say that when The Day of the Doctor finally aired, there was a huge excitement and a lot of expectations for it. So, did it deliver? My ass, it delivered. If Dimensions in Time is the worst Doctor Who special, then we're looking at the opposite scale right here, as this episode is regarded as the best Doctor Who episode, period. So, what is The Day of the Doctor all about? Let's find out. So the episode starts and... Okay, they couldn't have started this better if they tried. I've seen a lot of fan interest for The Day of the Doctor, and they're all really good, like the one by the Doctor of Who, or more famously by the one by Neon Visual. But none even come close to the subtleness of this one, and it works so well. So after the iconic recreation, we meet Clara Oswald, who is teaching at the same school Susan, Ian, and Barbara all went to, Coal Hill School. Ian Chesterton even gets an Easter egg as he is on the signage as a chairman of the governors, which is cute. There are a lot more details like this throughout the special, and it shows that the people working on the 50th were huge fans as well. Anyways, when the bell rings, one of the teachers runs in and tells Clara there was a message left from the Doctor. Clara asks for the address and rides her motorcycle till she spots the TARDIS. She drives full speed as the TARDIS swings open automatically, with the 11th Doctor seemingly waiting as he reads a book. Clara snaps her fingers to close the TARDIS doors, and the 11th turns around, and we get a little banter between the two.
Fancy a week in ancient Mesopotamia, followed by future Mars?
Will there be cocktails?
On the moon.
The moon will do.
I know I keep showing clips like this, but it's kind of important to understand how the different Doctors act and interact with their companions, as that plays into how they interact with other Doctors. So moving on, the TARDIS is suddenly taken by a helicopter, and we cut to Osgood, a new character to Doctor Who, and Catherine Lefferts-Stewart, a returning character who is not only the replacement of the Brigadier, as she commands unit, but is his daughter as well. The Doctor calls Kate with the TARDIS phone and realizes her mistake as the Doctor is still in the TARDIS. The Doctor suddenly falls and hangs with his arms at the TARDIS edge for dear life, similar to how he was introduced in the 11th hour, as a matter of fact. After they land, the Doctor berates Kate and acknowledges that her father would never do such a thing before turning to Osgood and complimenting her 4th Doctor scarf. They all go inside the museum as unit soldiers reveal a painting that represents the last moments of Gallifrey before it fell, and we get some backstory as we learn how the Doctor destroyed his own planet. Meet the War Doctor. This Doctor first writes a message to both the Time Lords and the Daleks. No more. An iconic introduction to an amazing Doctor as you're all about to see.
The Doctor is surrounded. Inform High Command. We have the Doctor. See, locate, destroy the Doctor. Locate, destroy. See. The Doctor is escaping.
You know you are a force to be reckoned with when even the Daleks start exterminating random people. Anyways, he steals a device from the High Council called the Moment, powerful enough to destroy both Daleks and Time Lords alike. The War Doctor lands on a remote planet, leaving the TARDIS behind for miles and miles until he finds a shack to stay in. He tries to use the Moment, little does he know that the Moment is actually sentient like the TARDIS. Taking on the appearance of Rose Tyler, we meet Bad Wolf, which to the future Doctors means danger if I'm not mistaken, who plays with the Doctor a little bit before telling him how the rules of the Moment work. In the War Doctor's case, well, I'll let this speak for itself.
I could, but there will be consequences for you.
I have no desire to survive this.
And that's your punishment. If you do this, if you kill them all, then that's the consequence. You live.
Suddenly a wormhole opens and out comes the 11th Fez. Don't worry, we'll come back to that moment later, but for now we're brought back to the present as the 11th opens the letter given to him at the start of the special by Queen Elizabeth I and reads it.
Dear pesky plumbers, the Koopalings and I have taken over the Mushroom Kingdom. The princess is now a permanent guest at one of my 7 Koopa hotels. I dare you to find her if you can. We gotta find the princess.
Now see here, Doctor, you have finally gone too far.
As Clara, Kate, and the Doctor leave the room, a phone starts going off, which, spoilers for later, is the 11th Doctor calling in the future, but we'll come back to this scene later as well. We come to another room with a portrait of Queen Elizabeth I in our last introduction, the 10th Doctor. We go back to England 1562 as the 10th Doctor and Queen Elizabeth ride a horse out of the TARDIS. They have a romantic picnic before the Doctor proposes. The Queen says yes, and then the Doctor goes psych as he is looking for a Zygon and accuses the Queen of being such until the horse morphs and realizes he actually just proposed to the Queen. They both split up and run off, but not before getting kissed by the Queen.
Oh, good work, Doctor. Nice one.
The Queen gets captured by the Zygon while the 10th Doctor notices a rabbit, and this is a really funny scene for those who watched the 10th Doctor's run.
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous. I am the oncoming storm, the bringer of darkness, and you are basically just a rabbit, aren't you? Okay, carry on. Just a general warning.
Anyways, the Doctor gets to the Elizabeths as the Zygon has transformed into her. Both argue while the poor 10th Doctor is struggling to get his device to work before the time vortex from earlier opens up again, and again it drops the 11th Doctor's Fez before coming back to the present day with the 11th Doctor and Clara. Both of them go into a restricted area where the ground is covered in stone dust. The 11th Doctor asks Osgood to analyze it while making jokes before heading into the next room with Clara and Kate.
Inhaler!
We head inside and...
Someday, you could just walk past a Fez.
Never gonna happen.
Classic. Anyways, in this room we learned that the paintings were broken from the inside, and the mysterious figures have disappeared from the paintings, raising an eyebrow to the 11th Doctor and Clara. Suddenly, as the 11th and Clara try to leave the room, the wormhole opens yet again, and I think you can guess where this is going, as the 11th Doctor jumps into it after his fez and lands in the 10th Doctor's time.
That's just what I was wondering.
A very skinny. That is proper skinny. I've never seen it from the outside. It's like a special effect. Oi! Ha! Matchstick man.
Compensating? For what? Regeneration, it's a lottery.
Oh, he's cool. Isn't he cool? I'm the Doctor and I'm all cool. Oops, I'm wearing sand shoes.
Get it? Dick joke? Actually, I shouldn't be the one talking. I will admit it got a laugh out of me the first time I realized what the joke was, as it flew past my brain the first time I watched the episode and the many, many times I've rewatched it since. The 10th Doctor talks to the 11th Doctor as he tells him that one of them is a Zygon. It should be apparent to anyone watching the episode right now, is that the 11th and 10th Doctor have a banter similar to that to the 2nd and 3rd Doctor. I'll go into more detail into this later, but it's charming to say the least.
Oh, lovely.
Anyways, another wormhole opens, and after letting both Elizabeths kiss and run, another fast throw, and the War Doctor jumps into the 10th Doctor's time as well, and now we have the 3 Doctors. The War Doctor asks if both Doctors are companions, before getting out the screwdrivers as he stares in midlife crisis, as he realizes they are his future selves. Both Doctors are somewhat scared and scarred after the Time War, and point their screwdrivers at him in terror. Before being ambushed by the Queen's guards, they start pointing again. The guards hear Clara and Kate talking as the 11th gets Clara to try and scare them off by acting like she's a witch. Queen Elizabeth shows up and arrests the Doctors, with them willingly giving themselves up.
With my co-conspirators, sand shoes and Grandad.
Grandad? They're not sand shoes.
Yes, they are.
As Clara and Kate head to the tower, the Doctors are thrown in jail. They talk about the Time War and how it affected each Doctor. The 11th Doctor tries to forget, the 10th Doctor remembers it to the number, and the War Doctor is somewhat apathetic to the thing. Oh yeah, and Bat Wolf is here too, as she acts like a ghost of Christmas past, present, and future to the War Doctor. The 11th Doctor starts writing coordinates for the time manipulator as they talk about how 1.9 billion people died on Gallifrey that day. Meanwhile, back in the present, Osgood and her assistant are researching the stone dust, but are attacked by Zygons as Osgood realizes that they are the ones that broke out of the paintings and were hiding in plain sight, acting like statues. Osgood tries to run away, but one of the Zygons gets to her and transforms into her, asking for the inhaler. In a classic Doctor Who fashion, Osgood escapes by using the scarf of the 4th Doctor to trip the Zygon.
Honorary member of the Alpha Centaurian Table Tennis Club. Very tricky opponents, those chaps. 6 arms, and of course 6 bats. It really keeps you on your toes. I tell you what, I must pop outside and try something.
I don't blame you. I wish I'd copied her.
So do I. Oh, for goodness sake.
We come back to Clara and Kate, who enter the archives containing loads of pictures and gadgets from the Doctor's history. It's here we are shown the Vortex Manipulator. However, the Zygon Osgood and assistant follow the two of them, as it's revealed that Kate was also a Zygon, but unfortunately Clara escapes with the Vortex and code in hand. We come back to the Doctors. Earlier, the War Doctor was scanning a wooden door, and all 3 Doctors realize that the sonic screwdrivers are the same, just in different times, and they hatch a plan to break out using the sonic screwdriver, until Clara just casually opens the door. All of them are confused as to why the door wasn't locked when Queen Elizabeth comes back, as she wants to show them all something that we will see in a little bit. But for now, back at the present, Osgood sneaks back into the statue room and finds Kate tied up, and this scene grosses me out. I swear to God, I hate these weird tentacle things.
Kate! Goodness, you're not actually dead. Oh, that's tremendous news. Those creatures, they turn themselves into copies. Maybe they need to keep the original alive. Refresh the image, so to speak. Well, where did they go? I don't know. Ooh, hang on, yes I do. The tower.
Well, if those creatures have got access to the Black Archive, we may just have lost control of the planet.
We come into a Zygon painting factory as Queen Elizabeth starts talking about how their world burned up in the first days of the Time War, so they needed a new home. To get to the present, they used a stasis cube to freeze themselves in a single moment in time, hence the paintings. We learn that this Queen Elizabeth is indeed the real one, and after a marriage between the 10th Doctor and Queen Elizabeth, they all head into the TARDIS, and I'll let this scene play out as it's a personal favorite of mine.
Right then, Back to the Future.
You let this place go a bit.
Ah, it's his grunge phase, he grows out of it. Don't you listen to them. Oh! Desktop is glitching.
3 of us from different time zones is trying to compensate.
Hey, look, the round things. I love the round things. What are the round things? No idea. Oh dear, the friction quadrifibrillator!
And of course, it wouldn't be Doctor Who if we didn't do the obligatory...
I can see you've been doing the TARDIS up a bit. I don't like it. Oh yeah, oh you never do. Listen, we're going to the...
Clara tells the three that they have invaded the archives, and as such, they need another way in. Meanwhile, Team Zygon and Team Kate meet up with each other as both Kate starts a self-destruction bomb which cannot be stopped. As Kate puts most of her trust in the Doctor and her good father, good old Brigadier, whose actor had long since passed when this episode aired, but every time Unit is shown, his influence and presence is very much felt, even in death. 11th tries to reason with Kate thanks to the Brigadier putting a communication device in the Black Archives, but Kate stands firm on her detonator and switches it off, not letting the TARDIS land either. It's here we come back to an earlier moment at that phone call from earlier. The phone call is for the Unit soldiers to transfer the painting of Gallifrey into the Black Archives. Using the stasis cube, they can land on Gallifrey's final moments and break into the Black Archives that way, giving us the second most iconic moment in this special. I swear, every moment in this special, they just cooked. They literally cooked. Both the 10th Doctor and the 11th Doctor berate Kate as they wipe both the Zygons and the real one's memories, Men in Black style, allowing both Kates to stop the countdown. While everyone is hanging out, Clara sees the War Doctor alone and tries talking to him. Talking about how the 11th Doctor regrets killing the Time Lords and would try to do anything to change the outcome. In a way, Clara and the War Doctor here parallel that of Susan and the First Doctor in the way they talk about the past. For the War Doctor, it's almost time for him to make a choice that will shape his future. Destroy Gallifrey, or find another option. A nice, big, red button. Batwolf tries to reassure that he is still the Doctor even if he denies it, until she tells him that the TARDIS sound brings hope to those that need it. And it's true, especially when looking at the past 50 years of the show's history. At the end, when the War Doctor needs hope, his other self's TARDISes land behind him, to give him that hope. All three doctors go to give their support to the War Doctor and tell him that it wasn't his fault. Bad Wolf shows the doctors and Clara a projection of what's about to happen. Clara can only watch in horror as the doctors stand emotionless as everyone around them dies to the Daleks. Clara notes that there are 3 of them and tells them to be the doctor they need to be. Suddenly, they get an amazing idea that leads to my favorite scene in the show's history. Using the stasis cube, they're going to freeze Gallifrey in a pocket universe. I'll let this scene play out for all of you to enjoy because it's my favorite of all time. Nothing that comes after this will top this moment.
The doctor, standing ready.
Dear God, 3 of them. All my worst nightmares at once.
General, we have a plan. We should point out at this moment it is a fairly terrible plan.
But almost certainly won't work.
I was happy with fairly terrible.
Sorry, just thinking out loud.
We're flying our 3 TARDISes into your lower atmosphere.
Using our TARDISes, we're going to freeze Gallifrey in a single moment in time.
You know, like those stasis cubes? Single moment in time held in a parallel pocket universe.
Except we're going to do it to a whole planet.
And all the people on it.
What? Even if that were possible, which it isn't. Why would you do such a thing?
Because the alternative is burning.
And I've seen that.
And I never want to see it again.
We'd be lost in another universe. Frozen in a single moment. We'd have nothing.
You would have hope. And right now, that is exactly what you don't have.
It's delusional. The calculations alone would take hundreds of years.
Oh, hundreds and hundreds, but don't worry.
I started a very long time ago.
Calling the War Council of Gallifrey. This is the Doctor.
You might say I've been doing this all my lives.
Good luck.
Stand by.
Ready. Commencing calculations. Zoom me there.
Cross the boundaries that divide one universe from another.
Got to lock onto his coordinates.
And for my next trick, I didn't know when I was well off. All 12 of them. No, sir. Ah! All 13!
Sir! The Daleks know that something is happening. They're increasing their firepower.
Do it, Doctor. Just do it.
Do it.
Okay. Gentlemen, we're ready.
For God's sake, Gallifrey, stand!
What an amazing special. Having all of the past Doctors suddenly come in to help Gallifrey was already really cool. But having this scene be the first ever reveal of the 12th Doctor made this so much better. And while they did reuse the same shots despite not being noticeable when played normally, they did use the correct TARDISes for the most part, except for the first Doctor who just reuses the 11th Doctor's TARDIS. Just something I noticed watching it back, but doesn't ruin this otherwise perfect scene. The 3 Doctors share one last scene talking about the painting before the War Doctor starts to head back to his time. Sadly though, both Doctors tell him that he won't remember saving Gallifrey despite doing the opposite, which saddens the War Doctor somewhat. After taking off, he starts regenerating, and while we don't see what he actually turns into fully, we can actually just make out the 9th Doctor before we cut bridging the gap between Classic Who and New Who, which I think is pretty cool. The 10th Doctor asks the 11th what he saw a few episodes ago, that being Trenzalore. He tells the 11th that it's not possible, to which the 11th Doctor remarks that's how it's going to end, and there's nothing they can do about it. We get a 5th Doctor's quote from the 10th Doctor.
Anyway.
It's reassuring to know that my future is in safe hands.
Before going back to his time, saying his last iconic phrase,
I don't want to go.
before taking off. Scott heads into the TARDIS, leaving the 11th Doctor alone to admire the painting. However, if you thought the surprises ended with that last moment, think again, as suddenly...
Be the great curator. I could retire and do that. I could retire and be the curator of this place.
You know, I really think you might.
I never forget a face.
I know you don't. And in years to come, you might find yourself revisiting a few, but just the old favorites, eh?
No freaking way. In what has been 1 out of 2 appearances, Tom Baker returned to the show as an old 4th Doctor called the Curator, his other appearance being... you know what. So it's great to see him here, in a good special no less. He's here to reassure the 11th Doctor that the title change to Gallifrey Falls no more, as their plan actually worked. All the Doctor has to do now is find his home, with the 4th always getting a smile out of me every time he's on screen smiling. I swear this man's smile is contagious and I love him for it.
Let me tell you what I would do. If I were you... Oh, if I were you... oh, perhaps I was you, of course. Or perhaps you are me.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Or perhaps it doesn't matter either way. Who knows? Who knows?
As this episode comes to a close, the 11th Doctor gives a memorable speech that is tied to the No Sir Old 13 scene from earlier.
Clara sometimes asks me if I dream. Of course I dream, I tell her. Everybody dreams. But what do you dream about, she'll ask. Same thing everybody dreams about, I tell her. I dream about where I'm going. She always laughs at that. But you're not going anywhere, you're just wandering about. That's not true. Not anymore. I have a new destination. My journey is the same as yours, the same as anyone's. It's taken me so many years, so many lifetimes, but at last I know where I'm going. Where I've always been going. Home. The long way round.
Do I even need to tell you why this special was amazing? It took everything that worked from the 3 Doctors, the 5 Doctors, and the 2 Doctors, and made one of, if not the definitive best Doctor Who episode of all time. All future multi-Doctor stories probably won't reach the highs of this series just because of how near perfect everything is in this episode. We do have one more New Who special to get to, so let's get to it, shall we? Oh yeah, as for the Dimensions in Time rant, this episode just speaks for itself, so there's no need for a rant when most people already know how good this episode actually is compared to Dimensions in Time. Actually? No, wait. There is one thing I do want to talk about. Tom Baker. Yeah. That Tom Baker, the cheeky one. The one we just saw 5 seconds ago. It's widely known that Tom Baker hasn't had the best track record when it comes to Doctor Who specials. Didn't bother showing up in the 5 Doctors and all that, but he did show up in Dimensions in Time. In Dimensions in Time, he is used to communicate to thin air and does nothing else. This is insulting for 2 reasons. One, the other Doctors don't acknowledge him or anything. He's just some guy, and it's kind of insulting in a way to his character, as we know what the Fourth Doctor is actually capable of compared to the other Doctors, only being beaten by the Third Doctor's ingenuity and the First Doctor's intelligence. And made worse by the fact that he is the face of classic Doctor Who. Like, this is the face people think of first when Doctor Who is mentioned, and they had nothing to do with this version of the character? It's blasphemy, if I'm being honest. And in The Day of the Doctor, yeah, he's also there to just communicate with the 11th Doctor, but the difference is that it actually progresses the plot, as him telling the 11th that Gallifrey did survive became a huge plot point for the 12th and 13th Doctors as they eventually found Gallifrey. Oh my giddy aunt, I'm getting a headache. Anyways, we only have one more Doctor Who special before we can end it off with the devil itself. So let's move on to Twice Upon a Time and then kill off this beast. I'm gonna need a vacation after this. To go before we get to the main event. Twice Upon a Time is kinda weird. I mean, it's not that forgettable or anything, but the story gets questionable, but like in a really good way? I can't really describe it into words. Is it as good as The Day of the Doctor? No, not really. But then again, it's not trying to be that. Also, as mentioned in the Five Doctors briefly, the First Doctor is back, but he plays the role of the Second Doctor, a la Wargame errands. So what is this episode about? Let's cut to the chase, shall we? So we start 709 episodes back from Twice Upon a Time, specifically to the 10th Planet, one of Doctor Who's most important serials, as it was the introduction of regeneration as a concept. We recap most of the now lost episode reenacted by David Bradley and lookalikes of Ben and Polly. They remade the set and everything just for this episode, and it makes me want lost episodes of Doctor Who to be remade in this format, but I'm already getting sidetracked. So we probably start the episode near the First Doctor's regeneration with Ben and Polly freeing him. The First Doctor walks along the snow talking to himself about not wanting to regenerate when he comes across the also now dying 12th Doctor along with his TARDIS. The First Doctor reintroduces himself in 4th Doctor dialogue, and the 12th Doctor starts geeking out before coming to his senses. He realizes that he doesn't remember trying to reject his first regeneration, and that they shouldn't even be interacting with each other. The 12th Doctor talks to the First Doctor, telling him that once regeneration starts, he can't stop it, and that if he doesn't regenerate, the consequences will be disastrous. But before he can finish his sentence, time freezes. The 12th tells the First something went wrong in time. Suddenly, a World War I soldier appears in front of the two of them and asks if one of them is a doctor, to which the 12th Doctor comically remarks,
"You're trying to be funny."
We cut to World War I, where we see the soldier pointing a revolver against another soldier, ready to shoot at any second. The soldier tells the other that he doesn't have the desire to kill him, but that he will do it only in self-defense. The soldier says something in German, but then time freezes. The soldier looks confused and starts looking around at the battlefield, but trouble appears as a transparent glass-looking lady appears behind him. The soldier walks towards it, and the lady lifts him out of time. Pause! Okay, here's your epilepsy warning, as this scene lasts for like 5 seconds, but I don't want to get sued, so here's your warning. Anyways, the soldier gets lifted out of time and sees flashes of the ship we will see later, and the lady keeps repeating that there is a timeline error before the soldier ends up in the South Pole and we're back to the present. So anyways, the lady appears again with both doctors jumping into action instantly. The First Doctor asks where she comes from and her intentions, as he tells her that she is on Earth, and then the 12th jumps in saying that it is protected before vanishing. The first Doctor asks the soldier to step into quote-unquote his ship, expecting it to be his classic console room, only to be in shock as he sees the 12th Doctor's console room instead. The first hates the latest TARDIS and...
TARDIS! This is impossible. Have I been burgled? It's hideous.
Okay, let's pause for a moment. So, the first Doctor acts more like his unearthly child self in that he's a little bit more mean-spirited than his 10th planet self. He's less First Doctor, more Sixth Doctor, if that makes any sense. For here, I guess it works, but continuity-wise, not so much. The First Doctor's arc was that he stopped being less antagonistic and learned to be more kind and human. And I could be a lot harsher on this if it wasn't written last minute. You see, Chris Chibnall, in his infinite wisdom, wanted the 13th Doctor to be revealed in a Christmas episode when there was no plans for it. So Stephen Moffat had to cobble a story literally last minute, and this is what we got. And for what we got, it's a good story. And this little tidbit will be important for later, so let's continue for now. The 12th Doctor tells the First Doctor that he should remember where he parked next time as the soldier looks around confused. The 12th Doctor tells him that matters were never this fun, accidentally telling him World War I, as he almost spoils World War II to the soldier. The First Doctor asks who he is, despite knowing the other Doctors by this point, but again, time crunch. With 12th responding with, "You know who I am," and shows his hand. The First Doctor finally realizes that the 12th Doctor is him from the future, and tells him what's arguably a very funny line.
Well, I assume that I get younger.
I am younger!
The soldier's in shock due to the TARDIS, so 12 goes and gets some alcohol while the First Doctor helps the soldier lie down.
I am the Doctor, and this is my...
It's complicated, actually. I am also...
my nurse.
Excuse me?
I realize that seems a little improbable.
Well, yes.
Because he's a man. What? Older gentlemen, like women, can be put to use.
You can't say things like that.
Can't I? Says who?
Just about everyone you're going to meet for the rest of your life here.
Have you had some of this?
Well, you know, I may have snuck a glass at some point in the last 1,500 years. It's been rock and roll.
I love Capaldi's Doctor. So the First Doctor starts berating the 12th Doctor for the TARDIS exterior and every little thing he finds out of place, including the 12th Doctor's guitar. Suddenly though, the TARDIS shakes as a spaceship grabs hold of the TARDIS. Suddenly the lady's voice echoes telling them to exit the TARDIS. The First Doctor exits the TARDIS and starts questioning her while the 12th Doctor tries to get the TARDIS to take off. The lady starts talking to the First Doctor as she introduces the Chamber of the Dead, and refers to him as the Doctor of War as if it was the 12th Doctor. The lady tells the First Doctor that if he hands over the soldier, she will hand over the TARDIS, and let him speak with Bill, who had just died 2 episodes prior. The 12th Doctor steps out instantly in shock and hugs Bill, but then realizes that she is just an imitation of sorts. The First Doctor asks about the sonic screwdriver, which I will admit was a clever scene as the First Doctor is the only Doctor not to have a sonic device. They both go up the stairs and find the Glass Lady. They start asking the important questions like why the World War I soldier, and the lady's response is that something went wrong and he was ejected into the wrong time zone.
I know. Sunglasses?
They're sonic.
Indoors?
So, what are you?
The First Doctor tells the 12th Doctor that the Glass Lady is not an AI but an actual person due to the face being asymmetrical. The soldier steps out of the TARDIS and decides he wants to do the noble thing and sacrifice his life for Bill Potts' life to resolve the situation. Bill disagrees and tells the 12th to do what he always does, and this leads to my favorite scene in the entire special.
Here's what's going to happen. First, I'm going to escape. You, with me. Where are we going?
Escape is not possible.
It is possible, and it is happening. And I'm taking Bill and the captain with me.
Why are you advertising your intentions? Can't you stop boasting for a moment?
Mr. Pastry 2, I could do with a laugh.
Escape is not possible.
Oh, I'm going to do way more than escape. I'm going to find out who you are and what you are doing. And if I don't like it, I will come back and I will stop you. I will stop all of you.
Who the hell do you think you are?
The Doctor.
I am the Doctor. Who you are, I cannot begin to imagine.
Then let us show you, Doctor. See who you will become.
No, that's not a good idea.
They will die. The Doctor has walked in blood through all of time and space. The Doctor has many names. The Imp of the Pandorica, the Shadow of the Barnyard, the Beast of Trenzalore, the Butcher of Skull Moon, the Last Tree of Barcelona, the Destroyer of Skaro. He is the Doctor of War.
What a scene. And the Doctor's response makes it so much better.
What was that?
To be fair, they cut out all the jokes.
So the Doctors and companions escape, but they keep the 12th Doctor's TARDIS. Lucky for them though, the First Doctor still has his, and as they head inside, Bill asks if it's another TARDIS, with the 12th Doctor saying it's another of the same TARDIS. Everyone quickly rushes inside and the First Doctor takes off, and I love that they created a modern day vortex with the vibe and style of the original 1963 vortex. However, I would say the 13th Doctor did this better, but I'm getting sidetracked. Bill connects the dots and realizes the 12th Doctor and the First Doctor are the same person, after the First Doctor tells her that the TARDIS needs cleaning. The 12th Doctor tells the First Doctor that if they find the Glass Lady's face, they can find out more about its origins, all while the First has an identity crisis with the sunglasses until he stumbles upon...
What's browser history?
I'm trying to match her face in the TARDIS databank.
Classic Stephen Moffat joke. For better and for worse. You know, there are a lot of jokes in this episode that are kind of funny, but also kind of offensive as well. Not advocating for Doctor Who to get cancelled or anything, because I find this episode to be hilarious at times, but like, I mean...
Yeah, if you like, ladies made of glass.
Well, aren't all ladies made of glass, in a way?
Very good, sir, very good.
Are we now?
Oh, my dear, I hope it doesn't offend you to know that I have had some experience of the fairer sex.
Me too.
Women.
So the Doctor lands in the remains of Villengard as Dalek creatures crawl around the ground, walls, etc. One of them attacks the World War I soldier, but the 12th Doctor saves his life.
Isaiah, there's been something moving over here.
Step away, please.
Probably just rats. I'm used to rats.
Shit! They jumping me! They jumping me! Save your boy!
The First Doctor grabs the soldier back to the TARDIS, and 12th grabs Bill as he needs to do this thing alone, and someone needs to look after the soldier, but she refuses and argues with the Doctor and curses at him, giving us an iconic recreation of an iconic line.
Well, that settles it then. You need to stay here. We should be as quick as we can. You obey that angle. What you need is a jolly good smack bottom. Come on.
Can we just pretend that that never happened?
I'm a broad-minded girl. I mean, I know we have this whole professor-student thing going on, but...
Can we just never, ever talk about this again?
The First Doctor gives the soldier alcohol, coming to the realization that he gave him the alcohol, hence why the 12th Doctor's bottle was half full. He leaves to go after the 12th Doctor, meanwhile Bill is left alone with the soldier, and... oh boy. We cut to the first Doctor asking about the Daleks, to which the 12th Doctor says they're old friends who came out of their shells, and I kinda like this. The 12th Doctor is always answering the first Doctor's questions with half riddles, so as to not tell him too much about the future, as it is forbidden knowledge. And moving a little bit forward, they finally acknowledge why the first Doctor doesn't want to regenerate, and his response is simple, but it really captures the spirit of William Hartnell as the first Doctor, and is probably one of the better written moments in this special.
Remember this? Why are you refusing the regeneration?
Fear. I'm afraid, very, very afraid. I don't normally admit that to anyone else.
Don't worry, technically you still haven't.
As they start bonding as Doctors though, something attacks them from a tower. The 12th Doctor tells his friend to scan him and reassures that he is dying, and opens the door to see the Doctor dying up close. We cut to the soldier recounting his memories with his wife and future kids, and talking about how he doesn't want to die, but if he has to make sacrifices, he will for his family. And yet the Doctors gave him hope, and now he doesn't want to make that sacrifice. Unfortunately, Glass Bill is standing right in front of him, and his fate is uncertain now, as we come back to the Doctors. 12th Doctor enters the tower while the first Doctor investigates a mysterious object, with the Glass Lady standing behind him, and the friend is revealed to be...
There could be any such thing as a good Dalek.
I am not a good Dalek. You are a good Dalek.
To the shock of nobody at all now. Although, I will admit I did not see the good Dalek coming a mile away, as it was something I didn't expect Moffat to bring back. Bill talks to the first Doctor about where he was running to when he left Gallifrey with Susan, with the first Doctor agreeing with the question. He tells Glass Bill that he wanted to answer a question of his own, that he wanted to see if evil truly did win over good, what keeps the balance in check, yin and yang, etc, etc. I'm going to admit this never made sense to me personally. To me, I always thought the Doctor left because he was afraid of his own people and their thirst for more power, and left because he had chosen to protect Susan by running to Earth, because the people there were harmless and they blended in with everyone and everything surrounding them, not because of some physiological question. I'm trying my hardest not to be too harsh because this story was written last minute, as previously mentioned, so Moffat and his team probably didn't have enough time to fact check everything. But I feel I should at least point out that the first 2 seasons of Doctor Who ever, the first Doctor's arc was that he was overprotective of Susan and vice versa, and both just needed to let go, mature, and move on as people. And it wasn't an overnight change either, as the episode that took place after Susan Foreman's departure, the Doctor would frequently mention her name when he needed help with something, and Ian and Barbara, feeling bad for him, they took over Susan's role for a little bit, taking care of the Doctor before Vicky joined. Anyways, now that I got that out of my system, Bill makes a remark on the future incarnations of the Doctor and reassures him that he is amazing and to never forget it.
Needed to understand you, Doctor.
Moving back to inside the tower, the Dalek disarms his weapon after agreeing to the Doctor's terms. The Dalek talks about the Doctor teaching him to hate the Daleks, billions and billions of years ago, and has been murdering Daleks for years. The Dalek asks why he's even there in the first place. The Doctor explains that he needs the hive mind, and after some reluctance, the Dalek agrees after the Doctor manipulates it. He finds out that the Glass Lady's appearance is Professor Helen Claw from the University of New Earth, which I assume is the same New Earth from the 10th Doctor era. We learn that they lift people out of town to analyze them and then put them back in their time screen when they are done with their research. The Doctor's response to all of this?
New Earth.
Oh. It's not an evil plan. I don't really know what to do when it isn't an evil plan. Why did you stop it? Rusty?
Okay, that kind of made me chuckle a little bit. The first Doctor comes in after discovering Bill Potts was a spy and tells the 12th Doctor she's frozen time again. Bill reassures her that she is in fact the real Bill Potts, subconscious-wise, and then she asks what does the Doctor mean he isn't going to regenerate, and the first Doctor is just in complete silence. The 12th Doctor responds that everyone has their end. Bill tells him that the captain has to die in order to correct the timeline, and the 12th Doctor says that if he does have to die, then to put both of his selves in his stead as they caused this. The 1st and 12th Doctors take off, and the 1st Doctor is confused as to how this is all their fault, but the 12th Doctor answers that they tried to stop regenerating at the same place and point in time, they caused the error, etc., etc. The 1st Doctor then asks, why is the World War I soldier so important? And the 12th Doctor response is that everyone has someone important to them. They land back at the battlefield. The soldier thanks all of them for their help. The Glass Lady tells him that when time resumes he won't remember any of it, and that they will be invisible to him. The World War I soldier makes one last request, and the 1st Doctor tells him to name his request. And this honestly is so heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time.
What do you do for me if you're very kind? Oh, anything. Name it.
My family. Perhaps you could look in on them from time to time.
We should be delighted. What's the name?
Lethbridge Stewart. Captain Archibald Hamish Lethbridge Stewart.
Holy shit! It's an ancestor to the legendary Brigadier Alistair Lethbridge Stewart. As previously mentioned, Nicholas Courtney had passed away in 2011, only appearing once after the classic era in Sarah Jane Adventures before his death, and each Doctor pays tribute to him as his influence in the show was undeniable. The 11th Doctor first gets a phone call about his passing. Then Kate, aka the Brigadier's daughter, takes over unit, essentially keeping the family name alive. The 11th Doctor talks about him in The Day of the Doctor, as previously mentioned. Then after we come to the 12th Doctor, who during an arc where Missy turns dead people into Cybermen, Kate nearly dies, but is saved by her father in the Cybermen. And it doesn't stop here either, as the 13th Doctor uses a clip audio of him yelling at what I presume to be Micah Benton or someone. And more recently, the 15th Doctor bonds over Kay over the Brigadier and reassuring him about Susan Foreman. Nicholas Courtney was a legend and his spirit lives in the show to this very day. Anyway, sentiments out of the way, time starts again, and as they are about to shoot the enemy soldiers, they start singing Christmas carols, and both sides yield as they celebrate Christmas. And Capaldi's narration here is amazing. Both Doctors hang out for a bit, but eventually the 1st Doctor says goodbye and goes back to the North Pole, and the regeneration here is amazing as it cuts back to Gwilym Hartnell and goes to the original episode format. Back up with the Doctor, and she tells him that letting go of the Doctor was hard. The 12th Doctor is still in denial, but then the most important companion comes out, and I will admit I cried when I saw this.
Merry Christmas, Doctor.
Clara.
Hello. You stupid old man.
You're back. You're in my head. All my memories are back.
And don't go forgetting me again, because quite frankly, that was offensive.
Bill tells the Doctor that memories are important, and then Nardo comes in as well for the ultimate farewell to the 12th Doctor and jokes about getting his quote-unquote hair wrong. Nardo tells the Doctor to not die. If you watch the 5th Doctor's regeneration, it's kind of similar in that his companions tell him that he is too important to die. The Doctor tells him that he just wants to rest and that he is tired. Nardo says that he understands, and the Doctor tells him that he doesn't, as he explains that his life is a battlefield with thousands of dead people like the one they are standing on right now. He thanks them, but also tells them that wherever he has to go alone. All of them hug before disappearing for good. The Doctor enters the TARDIS and it leads to one of the best regenerations in the show's history. I mean, just watch this scene alone and you get a feel for Capaldi's Doctor as a character.
Oh, there it is. Silly old universe. The more I save it, the more it needs saving. It's a treadmill. Yes, I know they'll get it all wrong without me. Well, I suppose one more lifetime won't kill anyone. But except me. You wait a moment, Doctor. Let's get it right. I've got a few things to say to you. Basic stuff first. Never be cruel, never be cowardly, and never ever eat pears. Remember, hate is always foolish, and love is always wise. Always try to be nice, but never fail to be kind. Oh, and you mustn't tell anyone your name. No one would understand it anyway. Except... Except children. Children can hear it. Sometimes, if their hearts are in the right place, and the stars are too, children can hear your name. But nobody else. Nobody else. Laugh hard. Run fast. Be kind. Doctor, I let you go.
So the 12th Doctor turns into the 13th Doctor, and as a metaphor for most of her era, destroys the 12th Doctor's TARDIS. No hate against Jodie Whittaker as an actress. I just thought her writing was poor. And falls down to London, bada bing bada boom, credits. Okay, let's cut to the chase. How do I bash the Dimensions in Time and compare the strength of this one special? Well, I guess enjoyability is one thing I haven't fully criticized yet, so let's do that, shall we? Once Upon a Time and Dimensions in Time do have a couple things in common, as a matter of fact. Like the rushing of a script, the bastardization of the characters themselves, the works. However, where they differ is when it comes to how enjoyable an episode is. Once Upon a Time had actual stakes. They had jokes that made me laugh, moments that made me cry at the end, and while the nods were in your face at times, you don't mind them as much here since they at least tried to make an attempt to make them make sense in the story, with or without research. And while they did bastardize the first Doctor in terms of how he acts in his later seasons of his run, I can at least tell they tried to make his character to be as consistent as possible without any research. Now, Dimensions in Time isn't completely unenjoyable, but it really does just jiggle keys in your face like, look, it's Sarah Jane Smith! Remember her? Ignore the weird outfit, look, it's Leela! Remember her? It feels like a showcase of the property at times. However, I will praise Dimensions in Time for this. It is probably the most nothing Doctor Who episode of all time. It just felt like they put these characters in because people recognize them, rather than actually making them make sense. Think of it this way. If I were someone trying to get someone else into the show, and I showed them Dimensions in Time, they would be confused and turned off because of the amount of characters overwhelming them. And it's made 10 times worse when looking at the other episodes we've already watched, and... okay. I'll admit it. I'm stalling for time. I really don't want to do this, but I guess it's time to talk about the devil itself. It's time to watch... Dimensions in Time.
God help us all.
Okay, I kinda lied. I do want to briefly mention some Doctor Who episodes, or media that do have multi-doctors, but aren't the main focus of the story, with one exception, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's start with the power of the Doctor. In the Doctor's subconscious mind, we need the Guardians of the Edge, who take form of past Doctors. Those Doctors being the 1st, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th Doctors. Sadly, no 4th Doctor, but you already knew that. They don't serve much purpose except the 7th and 5th Doctors, who give closure to Tegan and Ace and their arcs. Specifically, Tegan's trauma over Edric's death and Earthshock, and Ace seems to have had some conflict off-screen with the 7th Doctor, ending with her leaving the TARDIS and hating the Doctor because of it. Something she regrets years later now that she has matured into an adult. Next, I want to briefly mention the Big Finish Doctor Who Adventures. Most of the stories are connected to the main show. It's not really my thing, but I get why people like some of these. The light at the end is the one that comes up to mind when I first think multi-Doctor Big Finish stories. Finally, I want to acknowledge one that is a personal favorite of mine, Destiny of the Doctors. The only video game that is not only canon, but vital to the show's timeline as it takes place just before the TV movie with Paul McGann. Basically, the Master has taken control of a planet of pure mental energy, and uses it to trap all 7 current incarnations of the Doctor using its psychic powers, bending the universe onto his will. You play as Brack, as you travel through the TARDIS solving puzzles and fighting against the Doctor's most dangerous foes. Where the story connects though, it's in its ending, as when you free all 7 Doctors, and beat the game essentially, the Master is dropped into the time vortex, which leads into the TV movie perfectly. Here, just watch this.
Oh, Clark, Doctor, thank goodness you turned up. Hasn't it been fun? Actually, I quite enjoyed our intellectual exchanges at the Great Divide. Well, let's crack on now and start sorting out this old universe, eh? We'll have to hurry. These monsters, they've taken it all the wrong way, as you can see. Our sense of humor completely lost on them. They think that I was actually serious about that dominating the universe business.
Hurry now. We can join forces. But quickly, summon Cyrilos and release me from my captivity, Doctor.
Brock, I implore you, it's time for a truce. Let's make a pact. They have me, but it was only a game, an intellectual challenge. I played fair. I never tampered with the rules. For old time's sake, release me, Doctor. You know what these monsters will do to me. Release me. Release me!
It was on the planet Skaro that my old enemy, the Master, was finally put on trial. They say he listened calmly as his list of evil crimes was read and sentence passed. Then he made his last and I thought somewhat curious request. He demanded that I, the Doctor, a rival Time Lord, should take his remains back to our home planet, Gallifrey. It was a request they should never have granted.
Okay, I think that's everything. So let's finally jump into Dimensions in Time. Where do I even begin with this? I guess I can give you a little bit of history as to why it's terrible and why everyone hates this special so much. So this special was created around the time when Doctor Who was in hiatus. Cancelled. But to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the show, they decided to make a special for children in need. Originally, it was supposed to be all about the 4th Doctor, with the other Doctors sort of sidelined as the Doctor didn't end up regenerating at the end of Logopolis like usual. It was called Doctor Who The Dark Dimension, but long story short, this story, which is leagues better than Dimensions in Time, never got made, and then we got Dimensions in Time. By the way, I do want to briefly shout out the Dark Dimensions animation by YouTuber Season 2B, because they brought the original story to life as a non-profit animation, and that's how most fans like me were exposed to that original story. But moving on, the production itself was even worse than the script phase, as was an issue with the 5 Doctors.
So why'd we stop? Oh, shit!
They couldn't get actors they had planned. Others cancelled, while others became available, basically. On top of this, they had a very, very low budget, probably the lowest budget in the show's history. Their filming time was cut in half, but what doomed this project for good was a popular show at the time called EastEnders, and basically meant that most of it was EastEnders with a Doctor Who flavor on top. Fans were ecstatic to see their favorite sci-fi show come back after all this time, and well, I can only imagine their disappointment when they heard this.
Funny? In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh, my goodness!
Squidward!
I tried, Mr. Plankton.
If anyone tells you the new Doctor Who intro from Disney Plus is bad because it doesn't sync up with the music or they just hate Murray Gold, show them this, because where do I even begin? Okay, one at a time. Let's start with the actual thing that you just witnessed. It's literally just a sped up version of the 7th Doctor's intro, but without the face and stuff, which I will admit, it's a unique intro when they made it for the original 3-season run, which wouldn't be unbearable if it weren't for that goddamn rendition of the iconic Doctor Who theme. Now, the theme has evolved over the past 60 or so years the Doctor has been around, and all of them sound pretty good to amazing, except this one. And I'm not going to say that dubstep can't work either, because the band Orbital made an amazing rendition of the 1963 and 2010 versions of the theme using dubstep. Here, take a listen. And you know it's bad when the BBC Micro has better renditions of the classic Doctor Who theme. How is that even possible? Okay, now that I've calmed down, let's talk about the special itself and my personal gripes of it. So the episode's hypnosis is that the Ronnie has captured all creatures and 2 heads of the Doctor's past incarnation. Essentially, it's their way of acknowledging William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton after they have passed away. The Ronnie only needs a human to enact her evil plan, and throws the 2 Doctors into a time tunnel, and for good measure throws the 7th Doctor off course. Half of the special leans into EastEnders a lot more without trying to disguise it. And what is there for Doctor Who, it doesn't make any sense at all, like this scene.
Who are you?
Precisely. I am the Doctor.
Oh, no, you're not. You're nothing like my grandfather.
It is I've been pulled backwards through time and my companions are being drawn back with me.
Ian! Barbara! Where are the others?
At last, someone is trying to separate me from the TARDIS and knows my affinity with this planet.
Where's grandfather? My doctor! The original!
The inrush of time zones is designed to seal us all together.
And this too.
Yes, I am, Ace.
I actually feel bad for trashing on Colin Baker, because he's actually one of my favorite Doctors, but he's the perfect example of how they butchered the interactions. First, let's start with Susan Foreman. It never made sense to me that she didn't recognize her own grandfather, especially since she's met the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th Doctors, so she should recognize him immediately. And it makes even less sense that Ace would just accept it. If anything, Ace should be rebellious against the Doctor, asking multiple questions. But moving on, later near the end of episode 1, we get the only good scene that I did enjoy, where the 5th Doctor and his companions, Nyssa and Perry, which I will admit is a weird combination, but an interesting one that I do like, are being chased by a lot of old enemies like the Cybermen, Time Lords, the Orgons, etc. But I do have 2 criticisms with this scene, and it's hard not to point it out. One is the length of this scene that goes nowhere, by the way, but the more obvious one is the absence of the Doctor's most important and threatening foe. I talked about it before, but out of all of the enemies to bring back for an anniversary, the most important alien that has been in the show since its first season in 1963 isn't even here! I'm obviously talking about the Daleks. It bothers my mind rewatching it, because without the Daleks, Doctor Who probably wouldn't have lasted as long as it has. But considering everything else, I guess the Daleks' omission is just a nitpick compared to everything else. I just had to point it out. Anyways, part 2 is a little bit better as the EastEnders cast is still there, but are mostly sidelined to 2 scenes. I've been bashing Dimensions in Time a lot, but it's also important to see when it does some things right. Or I guess, one thing correctly. That being the fan service, giving us the only time in the show's history where the 6th Doctor interacts with the Brigadier on screen. The 3rd Doctor and Bessie, Victoria and Romana's return, the obviously super rare appearance of Susan Foreman, and the even rarer appearance of the Fourth Doctor in his red outfit, no less. Anyways, part 2 is literally just a conclusion episode where the 7th Doctor figures out the Ronnie's plan after Romana gets kidnapped and cloned, and defeats her, basically. What? Were you expecting more? That's literally it. I don't even have anything else to say besides the fan service, because that's what part 2 is. It's like a Spider-Man No Way Home pointed out that Andrew and Toby were there, and all they did was just say hi for like 5 seconds, and then disappear for the rest of the movie. Okay. Originally, this was supposed to be a rewrite of Dimensions in Time. But as I kept going, I started to lose motivation due to my personal life. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but I was prepared to scrap the whole project and eventually just gave up on it near the finish line. I realized that I'm no writer, and despite my personal passion and the year-long effort I put in with a computer that could barely even run YouTube, my very passion for my favorite franchises also kept getting me into trouble in my personal life. Being talked down upon and people constantly telling me what to do, it made me lose motivation. But then something kept nagging at me to come back and finish the video. But I didn't know what that was until I started watching classic Doctor Who again. As they were being re-uploaded on YouTube, it started to reignite my interest again. I got a new computer for the sole purpose of finishing this video without the rewrite. I rewatched my own recaps. I lost the footage and redid the 2 Doctors all over again from scratch. I tried to fix as many audio problems as possible, and it made me realize something. The current problem with Disney Doctor Who, especially the finale, have the same problems as Dimensions in Time. Think about it. Shoehorning / referencing past Doctors without rhyme or reason. Some villains appearing for no reason at all and doing next to nothing, such as Omega and Sutek to a lesser extent. Daleks not appearing at all, and no, the Anita door montage does not count, as that is just a glorified clip show, unlike Dimensions in Time that used physical props. And as much as I love Jodie Whittaker, her inclusion was somewhat pointless outside of her getting a small redemption. Not as bad as the 4th Doctor, but definitely the parallel here. Like I said at the very start, I love Doctor Who, and I think that's why I'm so critical of Dimensions in Time in the current era. Like the way I like the Sonic franchise, the FNAF franchise, Marvel, Back to the Future, etc. I think anyone can relate that when they have an attachment to something, they can criticize and pick it apart, but also admire and love it to bits. I won't say I can do better like with the mindset that I started off with when I was making this video, because that's not true and it will never be true. I felt I needed a reason for my video to exist. But it doesn't need one. If I can just show my passion for things, that will be enough. I can criticize things for their flaws, or admire it like the fan that I am. And that's fine by me. That's just who I am. I'm a very opinionated, yet very energetic fan. And nothing is gonna change that. Dimensions in Time still sucks though. You hear me, Dimensions in Time? You freaking stop!